Hello everyone, how are you today? As you can see, I have a new live setup thanks to Bezek. He taught me and explained to me how to make these things works. I have to do another slide thing before it's nice. Just put the name of the bastards, but yeah, this is the new setup. Thanks for the teaching of the angry Australian.
You are very welcome, sir. Always happy to help a friend of the Sultans.
Yeah. So, today we are going to speak a bit of politics. Not full politics, but a bit. And I implore Bezek to not go full Kanye, please. Please, please,
Just
please.
a little bit of Kanye. Just a little.
A tiny bit, but not much more, please, man, please. So for the introduction, in case someone don't know Bezek, and for the replay on YouTube, so you are the co-founder of the Sultans of Shadilay. It's a group thing, podcast, commentary that you are, I think, if I'm not mistaken, you created with Trim. Is that correct?
Okay, it's quite a bit more complicated. So there's the Sultans of Shadilay, which is a community of what was originally the gold tier subscribers to
Yeah.
the podcast The Lotus Eaters. That was founded by a group of us, and the server itself was started by our good friend Tosti, who's off making weird Norwegian, no, not Norwegian, Swedish noises. Trim's going to kill me. It then ended up spawning its own podcast, which was founded by myself, Trim, and a couple of others, some of whom have dropped out. We've gained more friends along the way, such as Bleach Demon and the Conscripts, Ardent Party, and yourself.
Yeah. So it was an initiative from the Sultan, from the Lotus Eater. This I know, but I thought that it was a co-founding thing with you and Trim. I thought that you were the two founding member. But yeah, thank for correcting. And so with this quite large group, to be honest, you do sometimes live stream with sometimes even a few guests, such as myself originally, and you comment actuality, you comment political news, social news. It can be spicy, and you teach the way of the things always getting worse.
Correct. Over at the Sons of Shadilay on YouTube, and occasionally alt tech when I can be bothered or we can get live streaming permissions. We stream at 2 p.m. London time every Saturday. And yes, we get very political and very spicy. And YouTube occasionally eats our videos because, well, too
They hate you.
spicy. Yes, specifically, they hate me. No, they do appear to hate all people who don't agree with them exactly. So if you agree with them on 99% of things, that last 1%, that's the one that's going to get you.
Uh, I'm trying to do the name thing because this is the one I forget last time, and you didn't spoke long enough. That's
well,
okay.
well, while you fiddle with that, I will show myself. So, of course, I call it moderate. I host the Sons of Charlotte podcast along with several other hosts, including our good friend Trim, Bleach Demon, Ardent Party, and yourself. We have a interesting recruitment process that quite often resembles press ganging in the traditional sense of coming up behind a guy, hitting him over the head, and then
Yeah,
they wake up on a new podcast.
may or may not involve consent. Depends.
May or may not very specifically be the story of how Christopher ended up on the Sultans. And then, of course, I have my personal YouTube channel, which is at Bezek1000, because some bastard stole the username, where I post assorted things such as gaming videos where, yeah, we get violently racist against elves and dwarves.
But are you a Dunedain?
Unfortunately, very much a Dunedain. Sometimes the character repeatedly yells that he is a Dunedain, and then we all get very salty for the next 5 minutes. And then he yells it again. Other things that I post include some political analysis videos, such as some interesting but also extremely terrifying things that were happening in Australia back in 2020. And then I also post some audiobooks. I have already had Notes on Nationalism by George Orwell up for, goodness, must be coming on nearly 2 years now, which has done extraordinarily well. And I have, let me see if I can jump into YouTube Studio real quick. I have another audiobook premiering tomorrow at, what time are you premiering at? 10:30 p.m. plus 10 GMT. And that is The Republic of the Future, or Socialism a Reality by Anna Bowman Dodd. And that's a really interesting book. It's so interesting, in fact, that when we can all find a time to sit down and arrange it, myself and several of the Sultans, specifically Bleach Demon, Trim, and the Crow, maybe Ardent if he shows up, are going to go through the book and investigate it. Because Miss Dodd, she was quite prophetic in some ways. Like, it's very interesting to see how she got something spot on, but it's hilarious in a bad way. How even some of the worst things she predicted aren't as bad as things actually are now.
Oh, then that's something.
Indeed. So stay tuned for the videos on that once we get the chance to record them. Speak of the devil, Trim has shown up.
Nice. I'm glad you are here, man.
Indeed.
And I finished, I think. After many fiddling. I wanted to do a color thing, but it failed every time.
On today's lesson of planning and preparation.
Yes, and I think I will start with the first question, my dear Australian friend, and speak about your home country because you are from Australia. And, well, unfortunately, I am one of those people who are, well, not much knowledgeable about Australia, so I was a bit curious about this specific thing. And many people say that Australia and New Zealand, including yourself, are one of the worst places in the world to be, politically wise, but not only. Some people literally flee Australia. For example, Sydney Wilson, that I'm sure you know a bit. So, is it true? Can you explain why? Especially for us, that people are from far away and are not very knowledgeable about what's happening in Australia.
Okay, I will do my best to explain why. Now, I do understand, everyone, that I'm going to have to speak in very careful language because the reasons that people are fleeing Australia are being suppressed by YouTube.
Okay.
So, some of the reasons, especially in the case of, say, Sydney Watson, Australia decided that when the year of 2020 got into full swing, they were going to take a look at China and then go, nah, bunch of pansies. We'll show you how it's really done. In Australia, during that lovely period of hell that started in early 2020, we saw Melbourne being the most locked down city in the world that's not in China, where they were locked down for, don't have the numbers with me, but nearly over 300 days. We saw in the Northern Territory where the army was voluntarily collecting Indigenous persons to relocate them to a quarantine facility voluntarily. And then, when some of the totally voluntary voluntarily confined teenagers decided, you know what, I'd rather be anywhere else. Largest manhunt in Australia in decades. For the
Okay.
totally voluntary
Uh,
teenage indigenous that they kidnapped.
I will show a bit of some article I found, especially since we are talking about, some specific information that would be nice to have at least some sources, and I will share it with you so you can see and tell me if it's bullshit and I should find a new one. So.
Well, it's The Guardian, so the chances of it being bollocks are pretty good to start with.
Man,
But we'll see
I
if
am
those
I am a
bottom
newbie
line.
at this.
Oh, well, excellent. So,
Yeah, I've shared my screen with you on Discord.
excellent. That might be a little less latent, so let me just jump into that. Yes, mass exodus. Australia faces loss of 600,000 people and skills recovery will be slow. From the 31st of August 2022. Think tank calls on government to streamline visas to address the disease-induced drag on migration system. Oh, don't get me started on the migration system. We got to have more migrants because Australians don't want to do the work. No, Australians kind of have leases that they're locked into, don't want to be away from family for 6 months at a time, and kind of have this thing about being paid the minimum wage. Migrants, on the other hand, oh, it's glorified slave labor. So that's fun.
That bad?
That bad. So the reasons people left. Let me grab an article for you, and I will flick it to you really quickly.
Yeah, sure.
This is
If you have
from
some better
Reuters.
source, just tell me.
Let me just get your chat up. So this is from Reuters, and I like to reference Reuters because most people who generally complain like Reuters. So this is from the 21st of October back in 2021. When they say Melbourne readies to exit world's longest COVID-19 lockdown. The first time.
Yeah, that's more than a year ago.
Yes. So let me see if I can just grab. Right. So this is in October 2021. The city had spent a cumulative 262 days under stay-home orders since March 2020. And they then proceeded to have a few more. And during this period, you were not allowed to use parks. You were not allowed to go out and have a coffee. You were not allowed to travel more than 5, and at times maybe 3 kilometers from your home. And the police were allowed to pull you over for no reason to check your papers to see if you were allowed to be where you were.
I
Is this sounding
remember.
like...
I remember one thing that was honestly pretty scary. Is like a neighborhood or suburb or something, and in the entering zone, so to say, of each house, because this was quite high income suburb, like we have garage and stuff, so you have a bit of space, and then they implemented like tents or checkpoint to enter your own house, like a white tent and all, and say if you had COVID or not. Was honestly very impressive to see.
Oh, yes. I don't recall that one specifically, but I wouldn't have put it past them.
Yeah,
What I do
I
recall,
think
though...
it won't, it will not surprise you. I think at this point.
No. What I do recall, though, is... So, there's this thing you called the United Nations, and they have this thing called the Universal Declaration of Human Rights.
Oh,
Article 13 is a very, very interesting. So let me get the Universal Declaration of Human Rights up so we can have a look.
this minor thing like human rights.
Yes. So I've just flicked you the link, and we are interested in Article 13.
Yep.
So, there are two sections to Article 13 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Subsection 1.
Oh, yeah, so 13, yes.
Everyone has the right to freedom of movement and residence within the borders of each state. In this case, state refers to nation states, so not subdivisions. No, turns out that the Australian government, or rather the governments of each state, decided, you know what, we're just going to close our borders, and you can't come through unless you beg us for permission. Oh, you've returned a negative test. No, it doesn't matter. You need to have permission. Western Australia did this for over a year, where they had restrictions on who could cross their border. So we did not have the freedom of movement within the borders of each state. And then we have subsection 2. Everyone has the right to leave any country, including his own, and to return to his country.
So you're
Yeah, it
saying
turns
that
out that can be.
so you're saying that Australia directly enabled its own population to leave during the COVID.
I am saying that the Australian government deliberately and intentionally suppressed the human rights of all Australians by refusing to allow them to leave or enter the country. You could not leave Australia without government permission.
Yeah.
And you could not enter without government permission, including such lovely things as tests and certain things that are totally safe and effective.
Yep.
And of course, pre-planned permission. And that is for the citizens. Oh, but of course, when they want to have another episode of the reality show Big Brother and this time have celebrities, yeah, they could just come in.
And
That was fine.
to your
But Australian citizens, no, they couldn't come back.
to your own opinion, or maybe if you have some links or things to show, etc. Why is it that Australia and apparently New Zealand, because you always say that New Zealand is worse than Australia, why is it that this country is so not dictatorial, but like it's very strong in the interdiction of things or not, and that its own population have to do or the right to do or something. So why is it so hellish in Australia?
Well,
Because I'm think that they were doing like authoritarian things like that before the COVID.
Yes, that's right. Australia and New Zealand, being extremely wealthy and successful Commonwealth nations, have such things as essentially universal welfare and universal healthcare. It used to work far better than certain other comparable countries, but for some reason, a bunch of nurses went missing over the last 2 years, and we just don't know why.
Seriously?
So, well,
I'm
we know
a
why,
bit
but it's
shocked
the
about.
reasons YouTube won't let us tell.
Yeah, yeah,
say
yeah,
why.
yeah. But I'm a bit shocked.
So, for decades, Australia has been what is called a high trust society, where for some reason the public trusts the government to look after them. And the government has looked after them by telling them exactly what they can and can't do. And the public has gone along with that for decades. So then, of course, the year of 2020 rolls around, and the government goes, we've got to do something for your health.
Yeah, of course.
And then they decide they do whatever the hell they want, contrary to all pre-existing preparation plans for such an event. And you can still to this day go on Google and look these up. And you just need to set the most recent date that Google will give you to 2019. You can ask what the pandemic preparation plans are. And they involve literally nothing that Australia, New Zealand, or basically any country except, I think, Sweden did. the pandemic preparation plans were always protect the vulnerable and keep society running. Unfortunately, it turned out that it was going to be let's put infected people in with the vulnerable. That's Canada, sorry, and California, actually. I don't know if Australia did that, but Canada and California sure did. And then we will demand that everybody stay in their homes because that's totally a thing the government is allowed to do. It is apparently allowed to restrict people's personal freedom. It is allowed to restrict the right to roam. It is allowed to restrict the free assembly of the people, and it is allowed to restrict when they may redress grievances. For example, it was illegal to protest government response measures. However, if you were protesting in favor of a certain American political movement that kicked off around the same time, involving the only man to not die of that disease that year, well, that was okay. That was different. You were protesting for a government approved cause, and that was allowed.
And do you think that all that you are saying right now is, as some people say in the chat, a direct consequences of the fact that Australia used to be a penal colony?
To an extent, yes.
Because that's a thing that many people say, like out loud, like it's almost a meme at this point. But is it
It is a
based in
meme.
reality or just a joke?
It has a small basis in reality, but as a meme, using Jordan Peterson's definition, which is an thought idea. Oh dear, Arden.
It's a joke, Arden. Sorry, I had no. It's automatically set to 5. Oh fuck English. 300 seconds, but it was a joke, man. Don't be.
Sorry, where was I?
The
there is
penal colony.
some validity to the penal colony thing, but it's more useful as more of a mimetic image of how the nation functions, being descended from both the prisoners and the jailers, because the government definitely sees the people as subjects, not citizens, and they are very happy to tell you that they know better. And it's not like they've ever been caught out. We know bettering the indigenous children all over the country. No, that's never happened.
Yeah, and I
But
know that for the French people, because my ex-girlfriend came from New Caledonia, I think that's the English translation. So it's just a small island near Australia and New Zealand, and it was actually a penal colony for the French. Like they sent people there to die almost.
yeah, so Australia was essentially founded on we promise it's not slave labor because we totally convicted them of real crimes. That's right, I want reparations too, since they're going around. But crucially, less so from the being a penal colony, it comes from being high trust and essentially people believing that the government is doing what's best for them, because the government, people want to be comfortable. They don't want to be free, because
Yes.
being free means that you can fail and you'll be left on your own. It is
There
much
is
easier.
there is, sorry to interrupt. There is Years the Eunuch who did a video recently about the idea that people don't want to be responsible. Like it's a chore for them. It's like, yeah, it's not for everybody. So freedom is the same thing, because if you are free, you are responsible of yourself.
Well, that's it. Freedom's scary.
Yeah.
If you're free, you can make mistakes, and if you make mistakes, you might lose out on the comfy, cushy life you have gotten by doing exactly what you're told. Unfortunately, through the advent of everybody living in a damn city. And you'll see this across the world, how there is a vast difference in value between people in cities and people in the country, where people in the country value things such as industry and self reliance, while people in cities value conformity, which essentially means going along with the majority, regardless of whether it is right or not.
Oh, thank you, Bezek. Caledonia was the Roman name for Scotland. Didn't know that.
Yeah, I did not know that either.
And there is a French-speaking man, I will say in French, Alcide N 2023, so Alcide N 2023, who said that apparently you say some crazy things, but I don't know if it's you or me. But I'm guessing it's you because you speak more than me. So I encourage this person to develop his own ID and if possible in English, because this is an English speaking stream. Well, this one, my channel is usually French speaking, but sometimes I do English content. Challenge your thought, my dear Al-Qaeda N 2023.
Actually, to continue, Silent Pavlov has brought up an excellent point on why a decent constitution is important. Australia doesn't have a Bill of Rights. Australia has 3 rights enshrined in our constitution, and one of them's freedom of religion. I believe the other is the right to vote, and the third something else that doesn't matter. Unlike Americans who have rights against, say, unreasonable search and seizure, Australia doesn't actually have that as a right. It is written into the law that theoretically the police cannot do certain things without certain requirements being met, but it's not actually a right.
There are some no-go zone in Australia, I think. I'm not sure, but I think.
It's not that bad yet, but yes, there are some places that have become heavily populated with people who do not like Australia.
I know what you mean. So yeah, I
Again,
think
being very polite.
the gist of the topic is said, and so people free Australia because it kinda stinks at the moment.
Yes. And if anyone happens to know a reasonably attractive single American woman living in a free state with low standards, let me know.
Yeah, trans Texan lives matter. So
I wasn't going to say it, but I'm glad you did.
yeah, well, to be honest, even myself, I love my country. I love Belgium, but yeah, the more and more time pass, the more appealing Texas become to me.
Does the idea of having a document that enshrines your natural rights and then restricts the government from infringing upon them, does that sound nice?
Yeah, and also have some friendly southerner neighbor, like welcoming one, and people with guns. So if the shit is hitting the fan, there is something you can do yourself. That's nice. Having the spirit of entrepreneurship, having the value of making something of yourself. So many things, to be honest.
Indeed.
I've seen I'm thinking start again. I think most of you seen the series of Babylon Bee with the Californian going to Texas with the cookout episode. Oh, was so fun. Oh, if you haven't seen it, I encourage you to go watch it. It's very funny. Very, very funny. So, second question, and for this we are going more into the lore and the background of the sultans. So, as you said, it stated the sultans came from the Lotus Eater, and even before that, Carl Benjamin Sargon of Akkad, because I'm sure that most of you, even yourself, Bezek, watched Sargon before the Lotus Eater started, and so Were you some kind of brainwashed by this filthy individual, or were you already a bad Nazi right-wing person even before that?
Oh, I've always been a dirty, dirty conspiracy theorist, pro-gun, anti-vax Nazi, as the Queensland Police Union would refer to me.
So a very bad person from the start.
Yes, because I've always had this thing where I don't like the government telling me that I can't do things without a good reason,
Oh,
and
like
they've yet to be able to provide a good reason.
it's George Carlin, I think the sketch he did like if the government told me to do something, I won't do it.
The government could tell me the sun rises in the east, and I'd think they were lying.
I'll then say I was radicalized by Anita Sarkeesian and Anna Kasparian.
Oh Lord, yes, don't you remember? Don't you all lust for the days when the most dangerous thing we had to deal with was some crazy feminist trying to take the tits out of our video games? Those
Yeah,
were the days.
yeah, the glory days of the early Gamergate.
Yes, 2014 to 2017 were simpler times.
Were you involved in Gamergate or were you active at that time? Because I know that Sargon and some of his friends, for example, Condancula and things like that, they were active during that period.
I wouldn't say I was part of it, but I was active and following it at the time. And yes, I was following it primarily through the likes of Sargon, having his drawn out bitch fights with. Well, she doesn't bear speaking, but she's already been mentioned.
Yeah, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I've watched live a debate he had with someone um, who was like almost not bitch slap, but in the debate, Sargon wrecked him and he almost quit just after the debate finished and the question of the public started. I don't remember the name of the guy.
Yes, yes. Like the guy did rage quit and leave when the audience started
Yeah.
asking some pointed questions. I don't remember his name either because he never mattered.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I also watched when I think it was Anita Sarkeesian who said that Sargon was a garbage human on the panel. I don't remember which convention, but
Oh yes, one of the sort of conventions where Sagan was just sitting, being a smug little shit, to be fair, in the front row, but just sitting there, smirking at the silly cow, and she starts insulting him. And somehow that did not violate any of the code of conduct for the
yeah,
convention.
yeah, that's right. That's even Sargon was banned, I think. Like it was considered
Yep.
like provocation or harassment or oh yeah, thank you,
But
Alden Vitcon, that's right.
yes, fortunately, the easiest way to relive that moment, or rather the most humorous way to relive that moment, is to go find Raka Raka Ali's video parody of the whole thing. It's far funnier.
Yeah, I understand what you say when Gamergate was a glorious time. Yeah, because these two events is I'll just engrave in my mind forever. They were quite something. Quite something.
Yeah, it was. At least it wasn't actively dangerous to our human rights or our lives.
And so for to get back to the question about yourself being a filthy right-wing individual, you were not involved in some activism or something. It was just internet watching things, debate with people, learn more basically.
Yeah, I was just watching things because I was at the time falling out of the new atheism movement. Because yeah, it turns out that they didn't actually stand for anything other than being against God. So the way I define it is that there are two types of atheism. There's capital A atheism, which is a religion in its own right that focuses on things such as feminism and God being evil. And religion and all religious institutions must be destroyed because no God. And then there's lowercase atheism, which is just relatively sane people going, yeah, I don't see no evidence yet, so I'm not going to bother. But there is one that is very much a political position, and it is the one that has led us to the current societal issues we are dealing with, where we are having things such as, oh, I need to very much suppress some of these words, where we are having things such as extensive procedures done to children or poorly misinformed young adults that maybe 20 years ago would have been classed under genital mutilation.
Okay.
We are also, it is also the same religion because capital A atheism basically fell over, died, and it's now been converted to the Church of the Woke. And it's what's given them the moral framework for things such as the termination of unwanted children, because they go, well, it's not a real human. It's fine because their moral framework is hedonism.
Hmm.
Oh, I don't want to get into a debate about that. Of course, I still think that safe, legal, and rare is how it should be, but emphasis on the rare.
Yeah, and to be
But
honest, even myself, I don't think I could speak with you about that, like debate or exchange ID, because I'm not that knowledgeable. And well, if chat have different opinion, just speak and Bezek will answer because I'm not qualified to have this kind of
it's not even
yeah,
a debate necessarily worth having half the time.
yeah,
But it is important to recognize that
Slanesh.
a lot of
Yes.
a lot of people are so innately stupid and devoid of original thought or morals that they need something to fill that gap for them. For the last 2000 years, for most of the last 2000 years, that was Christianity. Now that the new atheism movements have come along and thrown out the Christianity, they need they're still the same empty, pathetic, brainless losers that they always were. But now they have nothing to guide them, so they need to latch onto something else. So that might be capital A atheism, where they now go and do silly activism like screaming at religious people. Or it might be the Church of the Woke. Or it might be the Church of the Holy Saint who must not be doubted the science, which is a very dangerous topic to talk about. Or as UCYIB1 points out, Church of the Current Thing.
And so, did you follow also Saga Novakad on the atheist convention he did sometime, or some panel or something? Because I remember that he was a bit involved in that at one point.
I don't really recall an arts convention, but he's been on a large number of panels, and I've seen
Yeah.
a few of them.
If I'm not mistaken, and chat, please correct me if I'm wrong. He was involved in the atheist movement at some point, but I didn't quite follow that because it was not his video. It was more like panel he did and something, more or less like Jordan Peterson does, because Jordan Peterson does a lot of lecture in some places around the world, and yeah, Sargon was very much involved in that, but yeah. I didn't quite follow that because it was not much interesting to me, and I didn't have the means to follow what he said and what he spoke for, to be honest. But I know that at one point, like you said, the atheist movement was like it was like a big thing, and it began to split like in different orientation and current, and yeah, it was like a big thing at the time.
Actually, Total Blackout Pain has reminded me of one of the key words. He says that Sargon was an old atheist before the atheism plus stuff took over. So, yeah, atheism plus. So you've got your atheism, which is just not believing in a god. Then you've got your atheism, which is, ooh, I've got to be an activist against religion. Then you have atheism plus, which is political atheism plus gender ideology. sexual identity ideology, race ideology, sexual sexuality ideology, and again, of course, because they've thrown out the baby with the bathwater when it comes to the Christian moral tradition, they're willing to say and do some quite horrendous things.
And when you were you involved in that, or did you just follow from afar?
Oh, I was just following from afar.
Okay.
I wasn't anywhere near well educated enough at the time to get. I don't know how well educated I am at now, but I've definitely got some very solid opinions now.
Yeah, because that's a thing. To be honest, I'm willing to admit to many people like you on the Sultans, and in when I meet someone that is more knowledgeable than me in some discipline or another, that I just don't know enough. Just because maybe I'm not interested enough, or because I'm just not capable of understanding. Because when you go in such important debate of social and political meaning and oh fuck the word. Uh, let me do a Google Translate. uh, Stakes, yeah, that's stakes. Because the stakes in such debate is quite important. You cannot debate like oh fuck, religion and social topic and political topic like it's just, for example, your favorite video game. And some people, maybe because they are egotistical, or because they had a high opinion of themselves, they just keep on going into debate and conversation and discussion, but they are just dumb as a rock.
Indeed, and that's one of the things that was seen massively on the rise of the new atheism movement when it was a thing. There were people who would go into a debate. There were religious people who would go into a debate and go, "This is right because God said so." The atheists would go, "Yeah, well, I don't believe in your God, so what now?" And because they'd just gone in assuming they were correct, they had no argument for that cutback, which, let's be real, is not exactly a genius comeback. A lot of the new atheism or atheist destroys Christian with facts and logic is an unprepared Christian walking in going, "I'm right because Jeebus," and then the atheist going, "Prove Jeebus."
Yeah, and I'm gonna
So,
pull out now, because as I said, the atheist movement is quite split, to be honest. I have found
yes, I remember. I think the panel that you were talking about
I
now,
have
but
found a topic that say new atheism. I didn't know there were old atheism.
I do love, Chris, how with your accent it sounds like you're saying new autism, which is kind of accurate anyway.
Yeah, but I'm sorry, I do my best. And I have some people said that regarding my English, it's better than most of the people who are foreign and try to speak English. So at least there is that. I'm doing my best, people.
Yes,
Please.
it's just funny because they are quite autistic. Autistic screeching is very much a thing.
Yeah, especially for me. But yeah, it's something that I find quite interesting, especially when you talk about your own personal path, for example. And in my question, I say that you spend time learning, and this is something I'm I'm very much convinced that many people heavily underestimate. You need to take time to learn stuff. You cannot invent yourself from top of the morning, say, oh, now I'm a professional tennis player. No, there is so many stuff you need to learn before going before being a competent tennis player.
Indeed, because a lot of it is learning to identify and respond to logical fallacies and reject people accusing you of using logical fallacies. For example, what I was referring to earlier when I was talking about where Christians would come up and go, "Oh, X is true because God says so," And then the atheist goes, "No, prove God." That's an argument for Roman authority. It's just that from the Christians' point of view, their authority is the ultimate creator of the universe. It's still just an argument for authority because, well, you're going to need more evidence for the atheist who doesn't believe in your God. And it can't be the Bible because the same applies. If the Bible's the word of God because the Bible says it's the word of God, which is some form of weird circular argument from authority. But it's less importantly, the the divide between atheists and Christians is a lot less interesting than it is because as I've gotten older, I've found a lot more of the value in what is referred to as Christian morals or the Christian moral tradition,
Yeah,
which
same.
can be viewed separately from the religion because the religion's insane. Go read that book.
Yeah,
Something
same.
about
To be honest, I have found myself even personally, I'm agnostic. I don't know. I don't know if there is a way to know. I don't know. That's basically it.
yeah. I mean, we could get really into the weeds of the
Yeah.
definitions, but
But just to
uh,
finish about the Christian value you speak of, I found myself finding this value like charity, generosity, kindness, forgiveness, stuff like that, and the family unit, you know, the basic family unit, a wife, a husband, children, family stuff, blah blah blah. It's just wholesome and nice. That's it.
well, that's the thing, isn't it? How have we gotten to a point in society where, from the point of view of some completely deluded hedonists, that the husband, wife, 2.5 kids, dog, house, white picket fence is seen as some form of colonial anti-black racism?
Tone down a bit the
And
Kanye. But I do get it and
okay,
understand.
it's seen as oppressing all the people who aren't them, are seen as oppressing the woman because, God forbid, a woman make a choice for herself to be a wife.
Yeah.
You can choose whatever you want as long as it's not being a wife, is apparently the argument.
Yes. And I don't understand either because it's just the cliche of having a nice life, and there is nothing bad to wishing yourself a nice life. Like, I'm successful, I have a bit of money, I'm doing my trade stock business, my wife and my loved one take care of the children, and that's life, and that's nice.
There,
It's yeah.
there does, there does seem to be a bit of crabs in a bucket mentality there. Oh
Yeah.
no, these people are happy by following something different to what I believe in, so I need to pull them down to my level so that I can point at them and laugh and go, haha, you're not succeeding because you don't think like me.
Yep. And to get back to the topic of your personal path into being a very bad fascist man, how many times and oh, sorry, how much time did you spend learning the basic of well, politics, to be honest, and the philosophic idea, some writer and stuff like? Did you spend, like, for example, 5 years reading books?
Uh, I would say I've gradually absorbed it, but
Because I know that
with
the
the rate of
Sultans are very
absorption, it's
much into
going up.
books.
Oh yes, we like books. We're going to have a book club soon. Did you know?
Another thing taken from the Lotus Eater.
Yes, but ours is better. We have blackjack and hookers. No, but seriously, uh, I it I've rarely sat down and specifically read a book on a topic. I've done a lot of it absorbing, watching assorted content creators, because it's a lot easier to absorb it when they distill things down as quote sources. Like you've got your Sargons, you've got your Jordan Petersons, you've got your Gad Sards. These people have already done the work for me.
I
To
don't
what?
know most of the people you mentioned, but yeah, I sometimes I watch the Lotus Eater, but I watch on YouTube, the snippets they are willing to share with the plebs. But I know that there is so much more in the website and the article and stuff like that. For example, the book club. But I know from
Yeah.
some people, and I think you, and I've talked a bit with Maureen about that, that the Lotus Eater not exactly what they are used to be.
Uh, mm, how to be diplomatic? I feel, and I think a lot of people feel, that we were promised the Sargon and Associates show. And, well, it now appears to be the Callum and straight, white, university educated males with a very strong Christian moral bias who have a elitist attitude towards the audience. Shatkin knows exactly who I'm talking about, I bet. But yeah, it's not exactly what I feel was I was promised, but different floats for different goats.
I remember one guy, I don't remember his name, but he was a stand-up comedian, and I think he was British, but with a very strong British voice. And he said something. I think it was to Callum, say something in the line of, "Well, if there wasn't, easy girls like Ho and Wench and stuff, who would suck your dick?" And I was dying laughing in this clip. I don't remember the name of the guy, but it was nice to have the opposing view of the traditional Callum and
Mhm.
the rock and roll guy who's doing stand-up comedy and is happy to fucking bitches.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's also seems to have been a tonal shift where there is a certain highly notorious man lit who has come to the forefront recently for getting his ass kicked by the Greta the Thumb, who seems to be getting a horrifically large amount of support from what was supposed to be a daddist point of
I
view.
Are you referring to the pizza incident with?
Yes,
Okay, yeah.
I am referring to Mr. Got arrested by a box of pizza allegedly.
Okay, well, yeah. Wasn't sure, but yeah. Yeah, and I've seen
But
that apparently
yeah,
they were supporting him.
yeah, but my issue is I don't care whether the accusations are true or not. The problem I have is that everything that manlet represents is the exact opposite of what we've been fighting for. It is, in fact, everything the feminists accuse the men's rights movement of being.
Yeah,
So I
and
don't know why people are going, "Ooh, he's one of us because he called that feminist dumb."
I
I mean, yes, that
remember.
feminist is dumb, but that's no reason to drag him and his disgusting pimping of and treating women like crap into our communities where we're supposed to be like, no, you get you a good woman and you have kids with her.
I was also a bit surprised that they were supporting him because to me it doesn't strike me as a good value father figure. You know what I mean?
No.
I
And
can agree with some of his opinion and take, but
sure, but
that's basically it. I'm not supporting the guy. I'm not against it either, but
well,
I'm not
he
even
appears
knowledgeable enough to state my opinion on the guy. But yeah,
he appears to have glomped onto men's rights rhetoric as a shield against people who are calling him out for his actually undesirable behavior.
mm.
And unfortunately, it seems that a lot of people who I thought had standards have fallen hook, line, and sinker for the act.
So you're still referring as the about the sultan, the Lotus Eater people.
I'm referring to them, but I'm also referring to many others like Zuby, Officer Tatum, and hundreds and hundreds of others
Okay.
who are going, "Oh, he's one of us because he said this piece of rhetoric that we like to use.
Again, I don't know any of these
No,
people.
it's fine. The names of the people aren't relevant to the argument. But if we were I'd bring up Joe Rogan as a different example. So we've got two former fighters who have become celebrities, one of whom is a glorified frat house fuckboy loser, and the other who is a respectable businessman and family man.
Oh yeah,
And all these people are choosing to go for the guy who smells like a scumbag.
I'm also way more sympathetic towards Joe Rogan because Joe Rogan strike me also as a bit more toned down Alex Jones sometimes, uh, and it is also even if he says some dumb shit sometime, most of the time, I'm not saying always, but most of the time he say, "Well, I don't know this, but here is my opinion." You know, so since he's stating I don't know this, I'm a bit more lenient and from I can forgive him for sometimes having a stupid opinion.
Well, I mean, he operates a very different platform. He does. Joe Rogan just lets the person he's interviewing talk,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he gets them to keep talking. He's really truly interested to hear what they have to say.
Yeah, and that's also something I quite enjoy, and I'm not comparing myself to him, but this is also something an attitude I very much enjoy. Say, I don't know this, but I'm interested in this and this topic, so let's get someone who is an expert or someone who is knowledgeable and talk with him, just like I'm doing with you and many other things that I did in the past. For example, I was interested in the craftsman of woodworking, and I invited Alden to speak about it. So there is a more healthy way of speaking shit in a in a sense.
Well, yeah, and I mean, what's the point of having someone on to be interviewed if you're just going to talk at them?
Yeah.
We can all think of a certain TV interviewer who had something about lobsters that she didn't like,
Okay.
who was basically just interested in saying her own opinions and hearing her own opinions repeated back to her, but we can leave her alone for a different time.
I like the way you try to walk on eggshell to say something.
Well,
Yeah, I appreciate. I appreciate.
to hear what I really think,
Go on, the
come
Sultans.
join us on the Sultans of Shadilay. And to hear what I really, really think, go
Yeah.
subscribe to us on Rumble so we don't have to abide by Susan's stupid rules.
Speaking of stupid Rose and Susan and the Sultans, um, how will you describe your political alignment and the very purpose of the creation of the Sultan, politically wise? And also, by the way, is it a requirement to be of the correct opinion to be part of the Sultan? Like, do I need to be on the same opinion as you on this and this and that? Like, are you an echo chamber?
uh, I'd like to think we're not an echo chamber because there are some people that I don't particularly find that I would choose to hang out with in real life.
I know you're talking about me.
Well, no, I've already established I'm going to kidnap you for my year-long road trip across Europe, but you keep objecting. But to actually answer your question, how would I describe myself politically? Probably the closest thing as an actual descriptor would be classical liberal, like Sargon at least used to claim he was, but I often find that insufficient because I quite like the idea of using the excess resources of a nation to support its lowest members. But yeah, it's probably the closest. And well, do you have to be of the same political? Do you have to think the same things to come join us in the Suns? Well, there are certain hard and fast things. For example, we do not tolerate people who have questionable opinions about the age of consent, such as, say, lowering it to 0. People
Oh,
like
come
that
on.
are not welcome. People like that are not welcome in the Sultans. But very much not so.
I know that you have a very, how to say that? A dad instinct or a brother instinct toward children. I know that this is a big no-no for you. We don't mess with the kids.
I don't know if I would call it a dad or a brother instinct, but it is morally reprehensible for an adult to interfere with physically a child or other person who is incapable of consenting. We used to call that rape.
Yep.
And anyone who wants to turn around and try and claim that a child can consent, on the Sultans, we have things to do with them that can't be mentioned here for legal reasons. And I'm not talking about people who want to do things like reduce the age of consent from 18 to 16 and then bring in Romeo and Juliet laws. No, I'm talking about the people who legitimately want to reduce it to like 8.
Yeah. So this is where you draw the line.
I have several other lines, but I try to keep these sultans as open for legitimate discussion as possible, and that's legitimate discussion. If someone's just in there to troll, yeah, no, not welcome anywhere on the internet. Goodbye. I'm not interested in people who try to scam friends of mine either. They get preemptively banned with violently abusive messages.
Yeah, I remember that. I appreciate it. I was touched. But to be honest about the Sultans, I don't remember you had an argument or I will not say a heated debate, but like a position or a point that you were not more or less aligned. Like most of the time, it just flow naturally, and you are all more or less in the same camp.
Kind of. We all
Maybe
have
I missed something. Maybe.
in the Sultans, we all have some very similar core values, such as family good, don't diddle kids, rape is bad, probably shouldn't murder or steal, things like that. But we all come to it from very different perspectives. We have religious people, we have mildly religious people, we have agnostics, and we have vehement atheists. And we're all looking at from different points of view on that level. But for the most part, we kind of agree on some basic things like the government shouldn't be interfering unreasonably in people's business. If you're not interfering with someone else's rights, no one else should be interfering with yours, things like that.
And also something that should be noted, it's a heavily international community. Like you are from Australia, Trim is from Norway. I think the guy you name like Toste, I haven't had the chance to talk with him, but I think he's also from Scandinavia. Alden is
Correct.
from Newfoundland, Canada. Bezek is in England, well, the Great Britain. So it's a very large community geographically wise.
Yes, we have people from all over the United Kingdom. We have people from a large chunk of Western Europe, all over America. We have poor suffering members who desperately need to get out of Australia, Canada, and I don't know if we've got anyone from New Zealand. New Zealand's probably turned off the internet. But yeah, we
And
have
if you
a
come from different country, there is immediately like it's obvious that there is some cultural differences.
Oh yes, no French allowed.
Yeah, I'm not French. Perfect.
Exactly. But you're French-ish.
No, I'm not.
Yes.
But had
Yeah,
you like
talking about how they how we're spread all over the place and how some of them are pretty sure that they live near others. But yeah, sorry, you were saying?
Oh, I was just asking if you had at one point like um let's say that in English a point or discussion that the community is split, because I'm not into the deep lore of the Sultan, and if you don't want to talk about it, that's fine. But I remember that Trim spoke to me a bit about a guy that was like banned or something. There was some troll, some way that to disturb you, more or less. So was it like a political schism, or was it just like a trolling thing?
It was. Yeah, no, there were no politics involved in it. If it's the in particular incident I'm thinking of, it was unfortunately a certain member who struggles with social cues intentionally stirring up drama repeatedly, which led to them being unceremoniously shown the door.
Yeah. So it's not even like, oh, I don't have this opinion on this political topic.
Oh no, it was
Yeah.
standard internet bullshit.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
straight up standard internet
Because
bullshit.
that's the thing most of the time, at least where I am standing, and I delve into that, but just in the French-speaking world, that some political sphere or community or stuff like that, it tend to very quickly becoming an echo chamber. So
Yes,
there is
I
like
mean,
not much leeway to have your own identity and opinion on things.
no, it probably looks like an echo chamber because selection bias. People in the Discord are people who found us from assorted politically heavy YouTube channels. So it's kind of self-selecting that way. But I, I mean, there are certain political persuasions that if they came in would probably find that the community vociferously debated them on it to beyond a comfortable level. But and what can you do about that without banning discussion, which is a phenomenally daft idea in a community like the
Yeah,
Sultans?
especially when you have the let's say that the audacity of saying, oh, we are a free speech thing, and we are not allowing this or this idea. So it's contradictory.
Yeah, like Discord itself isn't a free speech platform. So there are some things that I have to kick in the face because
Of course.
if I don't, Discord will just throw the entire server out. Like certain favorite words of a certain Kanye West, I don't allow them on the server because here's the thing: for anyone who might have a problem with that, text filtering is the easiest damn thing in the world. Discord will absolutely be scrolling through every server they've got, counting the amount of gamer words, as we call them,
Yeah.
or ultra effective slurs per X many messages, I assume. And I imagine if you reach a certain level, Discord server go bye bye.
There is also it's a thing I like that Arch was saying quite a way back. It's the Nagash word if you are knowledgeable in Warhammer. The Nagash word.
To answer Ivan the Horrible's question, which is, was the Sultans of Shadilay Discord like? Is it similar to the Cabal, or is it nothing but debates all the time? I'm not too familiar with the Cabal. There are plenty of people in chat who can clarify, but no, it's not just all debates all the time in the Signs. It's a lot of posting news stories, memeing, good, bad memeing.
You should chill a bit and explain what you do. So if I'm not mistaken, it's always Saturday that you're doing live stream.
Correct. The Sons of Shadilay podcast runs Saturday at 2 p.m. London time. So we do adjust with British daylight savings, which is fun. But yes, and there we discuss all the spicy politics that you don't find in most places on the internet. We go right up to the line that's drawn in the sand where that YouTube doesn't like you to cross, we stand there and we give Susan the finger. And occasionally episodes disappear because we went a smidgen too far.
I've sent the Sultans of Shadilay YouTube link, and also you should mention that you do some Rumble, I think, for some part of the show.
I was previously simulcasting to Odyssey, but Odyssey
Odyssey.
is a disaster, and we're now trying to get the subscriber count on Rumble so we can simulcast the regular stream to that and do super ultra extra spicy streams. So
Yeah.
there will be Rumble
And
exclusive.
also, can you explain, well, if you can, explain the process of selecting the host? Because the how the Sultans works is that you have like 4 or 5 people speaking on live stream on the special voice channel on the Discord, and the rest is in the chat. So how do you select who can come, who is trustworthy enough to come, and stuff like that?
Yeah, I have no idea. Your own recruitment
Okay.
should indicate that there is no rhyme nor reason to this.
I imagine that you had a bit of an idea, like, okay, this guy is safe enough, this guy can say interesting things, blah blah blah.
Yes, of course. There are definitely some people who, through being more active, through having spoken to people, have demonstrated shall we say, an ability to refrain from crossing the line.
Because there is some special rules in the Sultan Discord, but at this point I'm thinking, do they mean anything?
Yeah, probably not.
And I will, yeah, go on.
I mean, hold on, I'm just. I mean, yeah, I just quickly looked at the rules, and yeah, it's basically don't post NSFW stuff outside of NSFW channels. Don't ping people who have about their job on our Discord, because that's not how you're supposed to do that. Because being a really fantastic server, we have
I'm starting to lose you, man.
make. Oh, sorry, I'm just vaguely. So we have rules about, say, pinging people about their work if on Discord, on our Discord, because we have occasionally members of the actual Lotus Theatre staff pop in to do some engagement with the community, post announcements like if the site's down or something.
Oh,
And
you are in contact with them? That's cool.
Yeah, not really in contact with them because we aren't an official contact channel for them, but yeah, we do have them pop in from time to time, and we can
Nice.
interact with them in totally inappropriate ways. But yeah,
Yeah,
I
you should be cool and cool-headed with them. Don't harass them or jump on them in DM and stuff.
yeah, pretty much, because that's just not cool. And I mean, a lot of
I
people
just
don't
sent a
necessarily want
DM
to
to
do
Discord
work.
to offer her an interview thing, and even that I'm like, maybe I will piss the Discord.
Indeed.
I'm like, please, yes, no, that's enough. No claw, please. No bad kitty cat.
Yeah, and of course, yeah. Well, like, do I have anything else that's unique?
Oh, I didn't know that Crow was on the Lotus Eater thing.
Crow's like he's not. I don't know entirely how to describe him, but he is their contractor for the audio tracks for the silver tier on all their premium articles. So Jonathan Crow is the luscious, sultry British voice you hear
Yeah,
if you're a
he
silver
is
tier member.
an amazing voice, and I could hear that he was competent in voice vocal quality stuff.
Yes, and he quite often joins us for the live Sultans.
Yeah, I didn't know it was him.
No,
I was
but
thinking
yeah,
like,
he.
where him? No, no, not this one.
Exactly, but yeah, yeah. So obviously we have a lot of people on the Sultans who have been invited on as guests or recruited as hosts. For example, we've got recurring guests such as yourself, who we drag on quite often. But unfortunately, it can get unruly if you have too many people in a Discord call.
Yeah.
So it's and because we have so many people with a variety of jobs and a variety of hours, it's
I
much of
think
a
I think
first come
your
first serve.
I think that your rule was like 5 people max, something like that.
It's not a hard and fast rule. Like obviously, if we've got someone with a specific area of knowledge coming for articles I have planned, they might get brought in. But 5, so myself plus 4 others, is about the right balance
Mm.
where we get enough interplay between the hosts. We get people talking to chat. We can investigate the articles, and of course, due to the diversity of where everyone's from, we can get I think we can quite often get a really diverse range of views on the topics that we have coming through. You know, proper diverse as in diversity of thought.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I thought about you well, for the Sultans, I mean, about that because like recently I spoke to some French speaking guys. Yeah, I know that's already a bad start. And we were speaking about, movie and cinema and stuff. And one of the guys said something, well, my wife is quite happy to see more black people now on the TV screen. I'm like, why does she need to have to see black people to feel nice? She cannot identify with white heroes or stuff. Yeah, but you are white, so it's different. Okay, well, Alt F4. Yeah, thank you. Goodbye.
Yes, that explains why I was unable to identify with Blade. Yes, clearly.
Yeah. I said that I mentioned Spawn. I mentioned Storm from X-Men. I mentioned Blade. I mentioned Denzel Washington, who does great movie. Um, Samuel L. Jackson and stuff. And yeah, but that's not enough. That's okay.
No. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people who have a very myopic worldview and seem to be incapable of empathizing with people who don't match them perfectly, which seems awfully racist.
Yeah.
But hey,
Yeah. You preach a convict. You preach many convict. I think most of the people in the chat agree.
yes.
Speaking of conviction, we will go on the next question. Yeah, this one is interesting. What is the hope and the goal of the Sultan podcast? Aside from world domination, I mean, like freeing to Australia to be the Texas man you are and repopulate the world with your own personal army of mermaid. But aside from that, do you personally hope to achieve something or do something in the like of Saga Novacat with the Lotus Eater I have on screen right now?
Well,
We will talk
I
about the
would
mermaid
like,
afterwards, but yeah, for now.
yes. Obviously, I would like the podcast to grow and perhaps start bringing in some cash because isn't money great?
Yeah.
Obviously, I want that to grow. I want my personal channel to grow, which sadly involves work. Ew. But yeah, and of course, the server, the goal for the servers as well is to provide a place for people who are getting into content creation to come in, hang out, share links, share information, skills, techniques, share a bit of the audience because we've got quite a few people now who have, because of the existence of the Sultans, we now have half your chat wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the Sultans.
Yeah.
For this episode, of course.
I hope that one day I will be able to do the opposite. Like it's my audience who come to the Sultans, but unfortunately, I'm just a poor Belgian.
Indeed, but you still have more subscribers than us for now. For now.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean shit, man.
No. No, sadly. But yeah, obviously money is good. Expanding things. Yeah, I'm not really. I don't really have any plans for expansion of the podcast itself. But yeah, the server has. The server seems to be best used to bully people with phenomenal amounts of talent into starting YouTube channels. Isn't that right, Total Blackout Painting?
Yeah, I can agree.
Or Trim, for example, who would not be an online artist if we had not bullied him. Or Spoon, who now does podcasts with Aiden Paladin, who wouldn't have started his YouTube channel if we hadn't bullied him.
Does
And he's gone on
Alden
to leaps and bounds.
does Alden Paradis started his YouTube channel before you met?
I believe Aiden had started his channel before he was conscripted.
Scripted. Because he's
And
also
he's done
doing not bad, to be honest.
He is doing phenomenally well because he's cranking out the content. He has a new idea every day, and he has a new video every day, which is an excellent way to bring folks in.
Yes.
We still need to have a talk about his paint skills.
Yeah, and if I may, also a bit more energy and a bit of editing. But that's we already managed to make him do proper YouTube thumbnail. That's already an achievement.
Yes, and now his thumbnails are really good. I still want to poke him and maybe up resolution his logo so it looks a bit shinier. But yes, turns out that YouTube videos do a lot better when the thumbnail describes what's in the video.
Him saying I'm a
and-
conscript.
Yes. We also have people like Prime Knight, who is currently starting the process of preparing to launch a Boo Hurt channel, which is one
Oh
of
yeah,
those,
medieval fighting. Yeah.
yeah, medieval fighting, but the one where you really belt each other.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what Stormy Eye said. The purpose, at least from the start of the Sultan initiative, was just to have a friend community.
Yeah, it literally started. So to be way more specific about the start, though, the Lotus Eaters offer Zoom calls. I think it's last Friday of every month for the gold tier subscribers. After the first Zoom call, turned out that we'd all been having such a great time chatting in the chat of the Zoom call. We continued the chat in.
Oh yeah,
what was
yeah,
it, like
the after
Teams or
party
something,
thing.
and then it turned into the Discord server, which has shot up from there. And yeah, the podcast actually did start as a essentially afterpay to the podcast, where we'd spend more time going through the articles and sources that they'd been looking at. But then it kind of took on a life of its own.
Yeah, that's a funny story.
Indeed.
Okay, so now about the mermaid. Why?
So Trim has this weird fascination with my sex life. And he's decided that I'm really, really into single-handedly rejuvenating the mermaid population. I think that's because he thinks he's a mermaid. I don't know.
And that's a meme came to life thanks to Monkey.
Yes, thanks to Monkey. Monkey, who is phenomenal at editing, but needs to make his own damn videos.
Oh man. I should invite Bleach to speak about the nose.
Hey, Prime Knight is there? Yes, you are mentioned. We are very much looking forward to when we start seeing videos of you hitting people with heavy objects.
And so how is it going about the mermaid repopulation? Like your army started, you're doing some training, teach them to catch, fetch.
Uh, I am currently training them to. I'm currently training them in ice water tactics because there is a certain cruise ship up in the Nordic wilds that I need them to steal for me and bring back to Australia so I can use it for my escape to America.
That's a nice plan. No, no monkey. I see you in the chat. You need to make an episode too, like theory crafting and how can Bezek mermaid steal the ship and all.
Monkey needs to make more than one video a quarter.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think
He makes
the
very good videos, but he's somehow managed to get, Monkey has somehow managed to get more YouTube strikes than the Sultans has.
I think that the video before the mermaid was I think about AOC. I think.
Yes, where he did. He got with some other friends of ours, the Stoa group, and they did a remix about AOC's Big Booty
Oh yeah, the clip.
because
Yeah.
that's when some guy mocked her on the steps of some place, talking about how she's a baby killing murderer.
Uh, Monkey, who is also a bit famous, if I'm not mistaken.
Monkey is very famous. In fact, far more of Monkey is famous than we'd like.
I remember one time when I asked him like for a bit of help, and he said, "Well, I'm sorry. No, I am famous. If I help you, I have to help 15 other people. I cannot help myself to do that." I was like, me sad.
Yes, if we heard Monkey was offering help, we'd probably all tackle him, and he'd never have free time again.
Well, that's his problem, doesn't it? Yeah, but that's nice to have some successful people in surrounding you, because you mentioned earlier the crab bucket, and this is something I love so deeply now. Like I hate it. Like why are you not allowed to be successful or succeeding at something? Like why? Why? How? I don't get it.
Well, that's because succeeding generally requires effort,
Yeah.
unless, well, like, let's not discuss those unlesses. They're not worth thinking about. But yes, success requires effort and skill, and occasionally a bit of talent helps. However, if you happen to be a useless, lazy, incompetent, with no skill, no talent, well, it's a lot easier to just pull down the talented people, isn't it? Rather than, go learn a skill because that requires, effort and stuff.
Why are you always speaking about the French? Because
Well,
you describe the
let's say
French
that
spirit.
I have strong opinions about France and make Normandy British again.
uh, So I will go to the next question. I have a few ones, so I will have to choose, and it's already 10 p.m. Man,
You may not have noticed from the Sultans, but I can talk for 8 hours
yeah, I
uninterrupted.
know, I know, I know. I've come prepared. Yeah, we can do this one. That's interesting. So the Sultan is one of the many different news and social commentary thing on the internet. There are tons of things like that today in the on the internet, and in your opinion, why is this? And is it a good thing in your opinion? Like, is it maybe too broad a net, or there are too many dumb shits speaking, something like that?
No, well, the why can probably be summed up to the failure of the modern media class to represent anybody but themselves. The media represents the interests of and caters their contents towards. It caters it towards white middle class Europeans with a university education.
I will show one of this person who's also doing commentary on YouTube, and I know that all of you liked him.
Yes, let's not talk about that.
I will leave
I'm
it on screen just for your pleasure.
That's what's called a grifter, Chris.
I'm doing what I can with the hands I've been dealt. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, as you said, there are tons and tons of assorted political or news, essentially startups, thanks to platforms like YouTube and Twitter and the like, which is brilliant because the mainstream media seems to be failing in its entirety to represent more than the upper middle class university educated people types. And it turns out that when a bunch of people find that they're not being represented by the professionals, someone has to tell the truth, or at least what they believe to be the truth. There are lots of people on the internet that I believe are lying, mistaken, or straight up evil, acting for towards the downfall of society. But, and this ties into the second part of your question, that's still a good thing. We shouldn't be censoring stupid people. In fact, we should be sticking them on billboards
Uh,
because go
go
ahead.
go no go ahead. Finish your thought.
We should, when someone says something's particularly stupid or evil or malicious, we shouldn't be suppressing it. We shouldn't be censoring it. We should be we should be sticking it on billboards so everyone can see how evil they are. There's a quote that says essentially to the lines of sunlight being the best disinfectant. Drag it out into the sunlight and the sun will burn it away. On the other side, if you drive something underground, like, say, fans of a certain early 20th century Austrian painter, well, they start hanging around in places that are a lot harder to find than, say, Twitter, where fans of a certain early 20th century socialist hang out. It is a lot easier to deal with people with evil thoughts than just saying them publicly. But when you drive them underground, that's when you end up with, I'm going to omit a word, something sells. And then those things sit in their echo chambers, which we've already established aren't great, but they sit in their echo chambers, you know, the echo chambers with 9 FBI agents and one gullible fool, where they come up with some idea that might result in the harming of a large number of people, which is bad. No, we want to see them when they come up with their bad ideas in public so they can be dealt with lawfully.
I will change the friendly face on the screen. Another one I know you love.
Oh, excellent. We've replaced the communist grifter with the. Yeah, I can't say that. That's. I mean, I'd like to see the discovery for the slander lawsuit, but
to be honest, I didn't watch both of these guys, but I know that they say stupid thing, and I've seen them say stupid thing, but I don't know much of the
well,
content.
speaking of people that have interesting ideas about how the age of consent is too high, this is one of them.
Just to to start a thing before I lose my ID. Maybe some of you remember one specific episode of The Simpsons. This is one when where Lisa starts fuck a press paper thing, a journal. I don't know the name. Oh fuck, English.
Newspaper.
Thank you, newspaper. So she has her own newspaper, and she started to get cancelled or something. Like she's not allowed to publish a newspaper. And at the end of the episode, she succeeded a fight, and before she, if I'm not mistaken, before she starts to restart her own newspaper, she's seen, and we have a specific panel where everyone in Springfield have their own newspaper. And in my opinion, this is more or less what you are advocating for.
Yes, well, I am essentially a free speech absolutist.
Yeah, I'm also
Obviously,
quite
no
adamant
shouting
to free
fire in a
space.
crowded no shouting fire in a crowded theatre, slander not good, no libel, etc., etc., etc. But outside of those specific exemptions, you should be allowed to say anything you like, and you should be protected from reprisal by the government and violent reprisal by the public. Now, of course, if someone says something stupid, say they own a business and they say something ridiculous like, let's not use any real examples, but we, so a business turns around and says something stupid like, we support X. Well, people who don't like X, good for them. But people who don't like X should be thoroughly entitled to not patronize a business who says something that they disagree with. And this is not the freedom of this is consequences, but not the how some people talk about, oh, you want freedom from consequences. No, I want freedom from government interference and violent reprisal to protected speech. If people don't want to engage with me on a business level or an individual level, well, guess what? That's their rights. But, of course, when everyone can speak, and of course, an extension of speech is publishing that speech, in this case, in a newspaper, well, newspapers are essentially businesses. If you're bad, you'll die, it'll die, it'll go bankrupt, you'll go away. And essentially, you'll be left with the ones that are good. Or at least the ones that can draw eyeballs, see all the schlock rags we've got. But it essentially means that anyone who has something to say can say it with we aren't stuck back in the days where all you can do is stand in the town square and yell or hold up a sign. You are allowed to share your opinion with the world, and they can judge it as they see fit.
Yep. That's why I like the Simpson episode I mentioned, because it's basically what you are saying. Like, everyone has their voices and they speak freely.
Yes. And for the most part, most people are just saying the same thing as everyone else. Some people will pop up and say something interesting, like a certain man who owes $1 billion to a bunch of morons. But we will leave that one alone.
There is a thing in the chat. I would like your opinion on it. It's what Callum say. I'll be honest, I'm scared sometimes to actually speak my mind on stuff because I know the consequence for taking or asking stuff. For talking or asking stuff. Well,
Absolutely.
what do you say about that, of people afraid of speaking their mind?
That's entirely reasonable considering how governments and certain people who were starting slogans like hashtag punch a blank.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But crucially on the government thing, there are things that I can say that are not illegal that would still see my rights curtailed. I'm an Australian who likes guns. I do not have a right to possess guns. It is a privilege that the government offers to be licensed. And they can take that away if you're not a fit and proper person. And that could be anything. You could say that, as I do quite regularly, that Anastasia Palaszczuk is a lying, thieving cunt who needs to be tried for treason and the law adjusted so she can be dealt with permanently. If I said that on TV, I guarantee that I'd have a visit from some policemen.
Friendly
Because
policeman.
no, we don't have any of those. I don't even pretend. And that is the government retaliation that all sane people should be afraid of. In a just world, they wouldn't need to be because they'd have certain other rights, like the ability to protect themselves from government tyrants trying to accost them. And this is why Americans need to be very bloody careful.
And this one I showed on screen. Do you like it, boys?
Yes, let me use my gender to con people because they don't think. Yeah, a total blackout's essentially saying the same thing. And he's also saying it's like Yuz was saying on stream the other day, I don't feel like I have the same freedom IRL that I have online with the people I'm around. Yes, because a lot of people in the real world will report totally innocuous, not calling for violence or for criminal activity to the police. Actually, I might have a tweet that I can show you on that topic, Chris, if you don't mind bearing with me.
Sure. That's
Because
your live, to be honest. Like that's the concept I have with my own live stream, is to make the guests comfortable and the spotlight on this person, not me. So Trim, the person on the screen right now, is a YouTuber named ContraPoint, as you see, and it's someone who is member or affiliated to the Bread Tube.
Yeah. So what I've got, it's a video referencing the tweet. So you probably don't want to play the video because playing videos is dangerous on the internet. But if you can bring up the thumbnail, that would be super fantastic.
Yeah. So I will try to do that.
I'm not sure how that's going to work with your setup.
Yeah,
but
I have an idea.
As you work on that, I will explain it to everyone. So, in this video from a YouTube channel that I follow, we can see a video from a spokesperson for the Queensland Police Service saying, if you see anyone posting anti-government, anti-police, COVID conspiracy theories, please call the police or Crime Stoppers.
So I will have it on screen.
If that does not sound dangerous to you, kindly have your head examined.
So, as you said, I will not play the video, but I will show the picture of the thumbnail.
Yes. So yes, like I said, and that is a quote, actual quote from the video in question, where a spokesperson for the Queensland Police Service, because there's recently been an incident where police were shot by COVID conspiracy theorists and anti-government, anti-police sovereign citizens, and they're now saying, if you see anyone posting anti-government, anti-police COVID conspiracy theories, call the police. Do we bother to define what any of those things are? Define anti-government. Do you disagree with the current party in power? Is that anti-government? Define anti-police. Do you believe that they need reform and training because they pull crap like this? Or, for example, they have this thing they like to do where they refuse to acknowledge your rights or they act outside the law and say in the United States, well, actually, no, this is specifically Australia, but perhaps you want to hold the police accountable because you believe that they are not acting as they lawfully should. Is that anti-police? And COVID conspiracies. We can't really cover that on YouTube, but why don't you Google whether AstraZeneca can still be given in Australia?
I think about the COVID, we already thread this very close to the sun.
Yes, but we have some conspiracy theory. We have quite a few conspiracy theories that have come true.
But most of them, from what I've heard, like to give a bit of backstory of myself, I was a bit of a conspiracy theorist myself, like 10 years ago, maybe more. Yeah, more than 10 years ago. And most of the stuff I seen at that time came to tuition today. Came true. So yeah, is that a
Well,
conspiracy
speaking of
theory at
which,
this point?
well, if we're just talking about conspiracy theories in general, which is a lot safer than talking about them in relation to that specific topic, there is a certain tinfoil hat angry man who kept yelling about chemicals in the water turning the frogs gay.
Ah, the Doom guy. Yeah,
Oh,
I
him?
know him.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, he's wrong. He's wrong. He's wrong. Yeah, no. Turns out that the chemicals in the water were turning the frogs trans.
Damn.
Oops. Because
the the
amphibians are
most
weird and
the most famous meme from well, I will say the name from Alex Jones was true and even more than true.
yes, that's it. The only way in which he was wrong in that circumstance is he did not go far enough. But that's the problem with calling something a conspiracy theory and dismissing it. Yeah, it turns out it's true because, like I said, there are certain things that were said about certain products, and now those certain products are no longer allowed in Australia. Is that the kind of conspiracy theory this lady's talking about? What about conspiracy theories about the origin of a certain thing that happened in 2020 that now everyone seems to agree occurred? Is that the kind of conspiracy theory we're talking about? Are we
the, the,
talking about conspiracy theories where the police overstep their bounds?
there is no meme about Alex Jones being a space marine, and my favorite one was one with where he is a Grey Knight.
I do like him as what appears to be Doom Guy. That is appropriate.
Yeah, this one is Doom Guy, but they are like full trailer of Alex Jones in Doom Guy, like the actual trailer of the game, but
Oh
with
God, that was brilliant.
yeah,
Uh, everyone should totally look that up if you're
yeah.
interested. It is
They are
because he's
demons.
yelling about
They are dimensional being from space.
yeah.
With the Doom OST blasting through. Oh man.
Yes, it's really funny
And by
because
the
he
way,
does say
I should congratulate you and myself because we are still on air. The live is was not cut out.
we haven't been cut off by Susan. Excellent.
Yeah, so just for the pleasure of chat and for you if you are not if you didn't watch them Bezek, yeah, they are full video, like actually well made video from Doom with Alex Jones.
That is brilliant because he does say a lot of things that work quite well about
Yes.
satanic demon pedophiles from hell. But anyway, enough about the Clintons.
Yeah, I will find another stupid moron on YouTube because there are many of them. What's one? Oh yeah, of course. Why didn't thought about this person? Ah yes, yes.
Unfortunately, Sleeping Giant tried to provide us with a link, but YouTube ate it.
Yeah,
Same dude.
link are dead on YouTube. Yeah, so I know that every one of you
Oh,
love it.
we talked about we
Yeah,
talked about this thieving crackhead earlier. Oh,
uh,
had she? I wonder if she's completed the videos that she promised to do on the Kickstarter she extorted a bunch of people for.
yeah. There's also Zoe Quinn. I will find the Grey Knight Alex Jones.
Yes, that's impressive. So, just while Chris looks at that, let's have a look at some of these view counts on a YouTube channel with 215,000 subscribers, 2,000 views, 1.2 thousand views, 638 views, 2,000 views. Ooh, could it be that nobody actually likes the crap you're peddling? You
So
disingenuous hack.
just to give a bit of context, where you should, I link the video of one of many where Alex Jones is a Grey Knight. You just type in YouTube like Alex Jones Grey Knight and you will find it. And every single one, like there are so many of Space Marines, of Doom Guy and stuff, like yeah, it's just great meme, great meme.
Yeah, very good.
And of course, that's when I am live that people tag me. Oh yeah, yeah, Sleeping Giant. Yeah, there are so many of them. This is one of them. When a Grey Knight see a World Eater. I will link it. It's also a good one. So yeah, and I remember a funny thing about Feminist Frequency and Anita Sarkeesian. It's when they complain that, for example, when you drew something or an avatar of yourself, it's always like how they say that? Beauty phobia or beauty too high of a standard or something. And when they had
Oh, that
themselves,
you draw it as an idealized version of
yeah,
yourself.
because
And
all
then
of
when
them
they
are
did
quite
their
chunky.
then when they redid their avatars and like all their avatars were slim and attractive and they're fat and a dude in one case.
Ah, that was nice.
Or possibly three.
Uh, so this question is done, so I'll go to the next one. Do you prefer a personal question or a very hard intellectual question?
Oh, definitely not personal. Let's go the intellectual one.
Okay, perfect. How would you define politics? Because we hear a sentence today very, 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 very often, which is everything is political. For example, video game, music, story, even your garden, your court, and your goddamn cupboard is political, apparently. So, what is your take about that?
Well, that is the problem with certain specific ideologies, where they view everything as being within the realm of control of the government. Politics politics is the means by which the populace comes to an understanding of how the country is to be governed. Unfortunately, it quite often consists of blatant lies and manipulation.
I will show a link of something. Yeah, this one. I think also you will like it. I like to talk to you. Take it as a token of love.
Ah, yes. Unfortunately, this guy is well behind the curve because they've been saying everything. In fact, a certain hack that was on the previous YouTube channel we were looking at has been saying everything is political. What is it? Something like everything is sexist, everything is racist,
Ah,
everything
yeah,
is
yeah.
politically allowed, or some crap like that.
Exactly that.
No, it's only become political because you've insisted on shoving your politics into other people's lives, and now they need to protect themselves from you.
Because for myself, and this is my own opinion, and I may be saying stupid stuff. Politics is just a way of applicating power.
Yes. In ideal terms, the government should understand that the citizens have essentially voluntarily given forth their individual rights to violence to the government for the government to deploy on their behalf. Because as a certain fantastic book says, violence is the ultimate power from which all other powers are derived.
Ah,
And you will
yes.
find that you will find so that's Starship Troopers, the book which was so poorly misunderstood by the director of the movie that he tried to make a Nazi spoof of it, but turned out making one of the most space movies ever because he's a moron. But so, and that's also where you kind of get these people talking about how, oh, such and such is violence. Words are violence because words are power, which is why they're afraid of them. But no, well, violence is the ultimate authority. And essentially, what a society is when the citizens have voluntarily come forth and said, we are going to create a yeah, very base. We are going to create a government with which we will all surrender our authority, so it cannot be our authority of violence, so it cannot be deployed arbitrarily. And this government will be responsible for, at our direction, raising armies and law enforcement to protect us. Unfortunately, politicians have seemed to have forgotten the part where they're public servants.
Yes, the
Politicians
tiny
believe
detail.
that politicians have forgotten that they, like we, nearly all of us live in representative democracies or representative weird republics like America. But it's supposed to be representatives. They're called our representatives for a reason. But they've forgotten that. They are supposed to represent the interests of their constituents. They are not supposed to be sitting there getting paid far too much for far too little, demanding that we give up our guns while they get armed guards to protect them, and then going, I've decided that I know what is best for thou, and thou shalt do as thou is told, because I know better. Why do I know better? Because screw you. Don't ask questions, slave.
Yep, that's a thing that I very much despise today with the government, is that they tend to, as you said, forget that they are in the service of the population, and that the power they use is definitely not in the interest of the people that, thanks to them, they've been elected.
Correct. They have used the power that was granted to them by the citizenry to remove the ability of the citizenry to retake that power. That is what any form of gun restrictions does. Because guns are the great equalizer. God made man and Samuel Colt made him equal, goes the old saying. Guns are what enable little old ladies or 4.5 foot tall women to protect themselves from men who would do them harm. It is what allows a disabled person in a wheelchair to protect themselves from a mugger. It brings them all to the same level. And then it gives them that opportunity to use that violence that is inherent to all humans, particularly men for obvious reasons. Just throw that in there to stick a knife in the feminists. But all humans have inherent in them the capacity for violence, which is why the government wants to restrict your ability to use it. Because it is with that capacity for violence, which is often converted through the ballot box to the authority, they don't want you to go, you know what? It has come to our attention that you are not representing us, and we would like our authority back.
It's very interesting what you are saying with the violence has been transferred to the ballot box. It's like civilization is how you are capable of transforming violence.
Correct.
It's very interesting.
This is the theories of. This is essentially the theories of John Locke, where every man is born free until he chooses to enter into a contract with a society.
And what is your opinion about? Sorry, finish your thought.
And it's not a thing you're allowed to do now. You're not allowed to opt out of society. And in fact, in some cases, you can't even opt out of voting. For example, in Australia, it is illegal to not vote. You know, just like North Korea.
In Belgium also. Well, I don't know if it's entirely written like it's illegal, but if you don't vote, you have a fine in Belgium.
Yeah, which means it's illegal to not vote.
Okay.
Which strikes me as an inherent violation of human rights. The government should not be able to compel me to go to a place and do a thing at any bloody time.
That's a debate in France because in France it's not mandatory to vote, and most of them say, "Oh, we should do like Belgium."
Well,
Well,
it's
it's
not
a
like there are any French people left to vote in France anyway.
well, most of them don't vote, and it's like for most of them it's like a source of pride, like, oh, I didn't vote because no one represents me. Which in a part I understand, but in other part it's like, eh,
I want ballots to have a none of the above option, and if that scores higher than all the contestants, you throw them out and redo it.
yeah,
And I don't care
that's
how
what
many
I'm
damn
doing.
goes it needs.
That's what I'm doing because in Belgium there is not much option, or there is so much option that it doesn't mean anything. Like all of them are working for the same camp or the same stuff, and they are doing alliance. So if you vote for someone, two other opposing party ally themselves, and so they win. You know what I mean? So
Indeed.
in Belgium,
Which,
voting has no, yeah, it doesn't mean anything. And thank you for who has do the moderation job. Oh, it's you, Bezek.
yeah,
Thank you.
and yes, it was. You're welcome. It's a severe problem with the way a lot of democracies are run, with how preferences can flow. Because a certain tyrannical lunatic in Canada, I think, only got 13% at first preference.
Yep.
Sorry, but if you're only 13% of the country voted for you, you shouldn't be in you shouldn't be in charge of a country.
And it remind me also, sorry to go on a bit of a tangent, but yeah, I have trolls, so I made it. Well, thank you. But most of the world mock Belgium for one specific instance where we didn't have on the government. Let me tell you a bit of a story. Won't be too long. I will resume it greatly. So, a guy from the Flemish party were like independent, want to secede from Belgium and rejoin Netherlands and stuff. It was at the time, if there is the two Dutch-speaking person in the Sultan, it was a guy named Bart de Wever, and he wanted to secede from Belgium, and so, and he won the election, and for I think 2 years every single party in Belgium tried to fuck with him, and they won. And he was thrown out of the election. He like fairly won. If you believe in democracy, is it
Gee,
not
there's
you?
no parallels to certain things that happened in 2020 that can be drawn,
If
are there?
if you believe in democracy, is it not your duty to accept the result? I'm not
No.
saying I'm okay with the guy, but like, what the fuck?
The problem with democracies is that most people are stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, take America for
There
example.
is also, let me just, oh, another thing. Sorry, Bezek. A
Sure.
famous singer of Belgium named Jacques Brel said something I love so much. He said, democracy is stupid because you have 10 highly intelligent people voting for one thing, and you have 11 idiots for voting for another thing. So the idiot win. Yeah, go on.
Yes. And I would like to remind anyone who says, "Oh, democracy. Oh, I thought you believed in democracy. You've got to go with whatever the people vote for." I would like to remind them that a certain Austrian painter was elected democratically.
Yes.
Sometimes the people are stupid and get things wrong, and sometimes they elect certain German regimes that go on to ruin the world for a decade. Which
Yep.
is where the part I was talking about earlier, where sometimes the people need to take back their authority, potentially through.
Don't go too
Uh,
much Kanye. I see
yes,
you.
yes, potentially through that ultimate authority we were discussing earlier.
Yeah, this
You
this
know,
one is will be in danger for me.
yes, and yes, sometimes I don't know of a better system than democracy as so far, though Spoon would violently argue for a benevolent monarchy. But just because something was voted for democratically doesn't mean much. If
For the few people that might be interested in what I've said about Belgian crisis, I will give a link in the chat because honestly, it's very very interesting if you are actually interested in politics to how an entire country. I know it's Belgium; it's not a big country, but still, in how a country can be like keep in a deadlock because one person is not like, even though he fairly won the election. Like, if you want
yeah.
to know a bit more about that, it's very, very interesting.
Well, that's the problem when politicians decide that they know better again, and they say interfere with the lawfully elected leader of a country. Democrats.
Yeah. And I was wrong. It's 4 years of crisis, 2007 to 2011. Yeah, it's Wikipedia, but still, it's the easiest way to have a general idea of what is it. And honestly, it's okay. It's because I've lived it, so it's okay. It's accurate. There was so many
Yeah.
people involved, so many like negotiator who went to the king because yes, we have still king in Belgium, and like people who resign and that so many, and at the end, yeah, fuck you. Okay, I give up. But 4 years, I'm done with this shit.
Yeah. Well, that's where it would be nice to have a monarch who mostly doesn't get involved. But then when politicians start acting up like that, goes, you know what, mine, get out.
Mm.
Which
Yeah.
actually did happen in Australia through the Governor General. Once the government were being useless and refusing to agree on a budget, so the Governor General went, screw you all, you're all fired. Glorious. Needs to happen more often.
Mm. And
But,
to get back on one part of the question I asked, like the everything is political and all, and I've heard many stuff about some cultural stuff. For example, every art piece is political because you put yourself in the what you are doing, and so forth and so forth. And I can agree that there is some stuff that is political because the creator of the art piece itself were willing to make the art piece political. For a great example is Rage Against the Machine, the metal band. But there are also
you mean
yeah, I know.
rage in favor of whatever the machine wants
Yeah,
you to do?
today, yes. But it's for me, it's not how to say that. At the very basic, it's not how it works. It's if you want it to be political that it is, but at the basic, it is not. It's just a way of expressing yourself, like your feelings. It's not
Well,
political.
I would say that most work is done for fun. A lot more is done for money, and then there's a small bit that is done for politics. Like Banksy, for example. Some of his stuff is just art, some of it is politics.
Yeah, I'm just. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I will respond in voice. I know that there are some people who are not very much in favor of my stuff who might watch, and henceforth there are not so many likes. But yeah, don't bother with that, guys. It's nice and I appreciate it, but I have my silent haters, and I know who they are, and uh, if they catch it on this live stream, oh yeah, they would be delighted. Like, oh yes, is 100% a fascist now. Is admitting it.
Well, here's the problem. Unless you believe certain moral prescriptions that the Holy Church of the SJW have decreed, well, it doesn't matter, you're a fascist.
Yeah.
Because they're anti-fascists. Oh, the fact that they're the ones running around fully masked, beating people up, no, don't worry about that.
And so for you, is as stated, every art piece, like I said, not political at the start, and it's only if the creator of the art piece is willing to make it political that it is.
Yes, absolutely. I would love to see someone explain to me how the blue pole is political. I'm sure some moron art critic has, but art critics are some of the lowest form of human.
But just to dig a bit more about this idea, because it is fascinating to me. Like, if we take their opinion, like everything is political because you put yourself in your creation, blah 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 blah. It's like emotion are political now. Like, if you are expressing yourself, for example, you do like a love letter with a bit of poetry or something. Like, is it a political act? Like, I can understand if you are saying like, yeah, it's like spiritual or philosophical, but politics, I'm not sure.
Well, the reason they say that everything is political is so that they can bring into the realms of politics things that shouldn't matter. So they can bring in video games. Is Bayonetta political? Only if you're an insane woman named Anita, who's currently who's decided that I've got to throw a big hissy fit about the tits and the ass, despite the fact that the goddamn character was designed by a woman.
Yeah, and it's also, if I'm not mistaken, like it's a magical power who are like that. Like her hair is magical and made a suit or something like that. And when she use her power, she like burn her hair or something like that. There is a thing with the hair and the
I, I,
costume.
I don't really know. I've never played the games. I
Yeah,
just think the character's sexy and that people should fuck off.
yeah. Also,
But yeah, like they want to make everything political in the same way that they want to make so many things violence. Oh, if speech is violence, that means that I can defend myself with actual violence. Oh, if games are political, I can use politics to suppress them. Gotta get because there is nothing authoritarians on any side of the political scale like more than giving the government power. Lunatic feminists want the government to get sexy women out of video games. Lunatic Christians want the government to require ID to view pornography online. No, you're both authoritarians. Get the hell away from it. Anyone who is in favor of more government is deluded at best.
well, I can understand that you need or you are willing to have a strong government, like aid for the poor, or like some like a bit of paperwork to not have everyone doing shady business or things like that. But it should be kept on the minimal possible.
The government's purpose, yeah, like the less least government, the better. Take for example the National Health Service over in Old England. Why do they have more support staff than doctors and nurses?
Yeah, I heard
Because it's
that
the
it's a
government
very big
bureaucracy.
debate in the UK. The NHS, right? It's called like that.
Yes, yes. It is the NHS, but specifically, in what sane world do you need more bureaucrats than doctors, nurses, and actual frontline medical staff? You don't.
Uh,
You need like maybe one person per department who can probably be doing a million other things as well. You don't need 80,000 new IRS agents over in America, for example, the Internal Revenue Service, the tax agency.
apparently there was some scandal in the NHS. I found an article.
Oh, there's a scandal in the NHS every weekend. Huh.
Yeah, this one.
Oh, that's a nice recent one, 12th of December. NHS spots to take over scandal hit Greater Manchester Mental Health Services. Oh, what's that? Are they assaulting a mentally disabled person in that footage? Yeah, that sounds about right for the NHS.
And to have a bit of a segue about violence, because you said the word violence quite a lot, and it's something that is very, very interesting to me, and I speak about that quite a bit in my books. And yeah, to have a bit of context, do you think that violence is like a trait of human nature? Like it's everybody is
Yes.
violent in a way or another.
Humans are in here. Well, I wouldn't say everyone. It depends on how you mean the word violent. Is everyone capable of violence to achieve a goal? Of
Yes,
course they are. And of course they do.
having the
Is
potential to
everybody
be
like?
violent, to smack someone, to kill someone, to yeah.
Well, it's innately built into men, definitely. But even women are capable of it.
Yeah.
You try. You go. Here's one for you. Try and take a baby off a mother. See how that works out for you if you want an
A
example of
lion
feminine
mother,
violence.
for example. She will be
I'm
cranky.
always talking about a human mother. If you want to see a woman turn around and rip someone's head off, try and take a kid away.
Yeah. And
But
yeah, go on.
all humans are capable of violence. Of course we are. Because we're animals, like everything else. Are all animals violent? Of course they bloody are. Even sheep are frigging violent.
Yeah. And
You
I'm
will
saying
see
that
sheep butting. You will see sheep butting heads to assert dominance all the time. It just so happens that humans are really, really good at violence.
yes. And I'm saying that because I have I have had many debate with people, and when we speak about violence, of course the people I'm speaking with is all violence is bad, you should not be violent, blah 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 blah. And I'm saying always the story of, are you aware that one of the oldest skeleton we found, like the minus 5,000 or 10,000, something like that, I'm not sure about the date, the skeleton we found, which is the oldest of the actual human, like Homo sapiens, they had like spears or arrow in their rib cage.
I mean, if they want to talk rot like that,
This
have
is
you
one
ever
of the
seen?
first way of social interaction we have. the
Well,
first one.
ignore humans. Humans are really, really recent, like 200,000 years at the best. Dinosaurs killed and ate each other.
Yeah, but
Hell, go watch National Geographic. You
here
can
we're
see an
speaking about
elephant
human,
stomp
but
a
yeah, of
lion
course.
into. Yeah, but humans are just another animal. It just so happens that we're
It's
an animal
another
that's
debate,
really,
Bezek.
really good at things. Yeah, we're just a really smart animal. But humans, it turns out, are really good at killing each other because
Yes.
we figured out that rock harder than skull. I mean, the earliest humans would have figured out that, oh, I want to enact violence upon that guy, but oh, he might be stronger than me. Oh, rock.
And
It doesn't take a great deal of imagination to figure out why an early human who is starting to develop tools might pick up a rock or a hefty stick and belt someone with it.
yeah, always remember what Shard Diversity said. Stick is good. Stick is strong.
Well, stick is one of the two original weapons.
But also,
and then we
yeah, go on.
We all, I mean, and then we took stick and combined it with rock.
Yeah, very strong. But yeah, to finish the thought experiment, it's like, if as we said earlier, like civilization is a way of transforming the violence that we stated we all had in, like, it's so deeply imprinted in our mind that it's very hard to dissociate the violence of the human species to the human species itself, and we transform them to go into the ballot to express our violence and power and stuff. It's like, in a way, maybe violence is the human nature, in a way.
It's dominance and social hierarchies are more than violence, but how do you move up a social hierarchy 200,000 years ago in the Stone Age? Violence.
Winning a duel. Or
I don't know if I'd call it a duel
yeah,
2,000 years ago,
but
so much as jumping up and down on a caveman's head until he's dead, but
yeah, I imagine that in my head it was a bit more sophisticated. Like, oh, I want to be the chief. Yes, but I am the chief. Yeah, let's fight. Yeah, duel.
yes. And I mean, we see parallels in animals all the time. Lions, deer, like herbivores are bloody vicious.
Oh yes. I know it's 3D and imagination, like we didn't actually witness that. But have you seen like the 3D footage of two triceratops fighting for a female? Oh God, it's
Or
so brutal.
Callum has quoted the book we've been referring to, Starship Troopers.
Yes.
When you are voting, you are exercising political will. You are using force, and force, my friends, is violence, the supreme authority from which all others are derived.
Mm.
Exactly, and that's the thing about society. We all know, especially men. All men know that if we didn't have society, we'd probably have to beat a fucker with a stick.
Yes.
So we enacted we enacted governments, we enacted laws, and then we hired professional stick carriers to do the beatings for us. That is the police. That is
maybe
all
the army.
that is. Well, yeah. Also, but internally between yourself and another citizen, the entire point of the police is to the pre-existing sorts of associations. But the entire point of their existence is to do the force for us. We go to them and go, look, we are paying you and providing you with weaponry to go deal with that fucker for us. So go over there and deal with them. Unfortunately, the police also seem to have forgotten the part where they're supposed to go after criminals instead of innocent people. I do not have strong opinions about this at all.
I have found something. Well, it's not actually Triceratops, but it's like a horn dinosaur. Don't know the family name. Ceratopsidae, something like that. I know the name in French, but not in English. So here it is for you, Callum. And yeah, in when this kind of dinosaur fight, it's exactly like the deer fight, like with the horns and stuff, and antler. And yeah, to get back to what you say, Bezek, it's yeah, that's more or less like a resume of what we were saying. And what fascinates me about that, it's the way that the modern people say, "Oh, violence is bad." Like we forget, like we forgot. Sorry, what is like to express yourself with your like older instinct or something. Like what is power, what is strength, what is violence, and yeah, no, violence is bad. Let's be all hippies. And
No,
in my book, it's actually something like
and that's what they don't understand. No, violence is not innately bad. Unjustified violence is bad. However, and of course, these are the same people who will then go on to argue, "Oh, you don't need a gun to protect yourself. Just
that's
call
where
the
I was
police who are 30 minutes away."
That's where I was going to be like, yes, but in a situation like you are mugged in a street, so if violence is bad, should I defend myself, try to do something? Like, is it good, bad? It's a dumb argument.
They'd tell you to just give the mugger whatever they want because they're a poor, oppressed person. But just because they're looting doesn't mean they're criminals. They're just looting bread and necessities like TVs. We saw just today on the Lotus Eaters.
Yeah, I've seen stuff like that, and it's. I think it was an argument, something like, yeah, you should give money to black people or migrants because it's the good thing to do, and you owe it to them or something like that. Where does it end?
Ends when they're rich and we don't exist.
Oh, you mean like black mention matters?
Anyway, yes. Speaking of the use of political violence and other violence and authority, what could possibly be the end result of I don't know, convincing a government to give a certain group of people lots and lots of money based entirely on their skin color. Gee, I can't imagine that won't end badly.
I see that you're taking a bit of ease and power in my live stream.
Yes. to add on to what Sleeping Giant's saying in chat, my opinion on using a firearm in defense of property is the property worth more or less than 4 rounds of 9mm?
Yeah,
And that's something that these people who talk about, oh, just let them have it, or oh, you don't need to defend yourself, and you better not ever use violence to defend property. No, property is purchased with money, and that money is earned by work, which is expending your lifetime.
Yes.
If someone steals your car, oh, it's not just a car. No, that is bloody 3 or 4 years of the average person's life if it's a brand new car. If a car's worth $25,000, that's half the median wage in Australia. You're not going to drop half. You're not going to spend half your bloody wage on it. You might spend 3 or 4. You might knock off a bit of 3 or 4 years of it. So you've worked for 3 or 4 years just for this piece of property. It's not just about the bloody car. It's about the amount of your lifetime, the amount of your labor that has gone into its purchase and acquisition. That is what you're protecting, not the bloody car, the 5 years of your life that went into it.
So here I found something like it's apparently an American philosopher, or like a book about American philosophy. Why violence is bad.
With the possible exception of Nietzsche, no one would seriously argue that violence is good for its victims. Well, no, that's why the victims should use violence of their own to defeat the oppressor. Have we not made this clear?
I'm not an expert of Nietzsche, even though I love his works, but I don't remember him saying something like violence is bad. It was the opposite side of the thing, if I'm correct.
No, but that's what they're suggesting. They're suggesting that, oh, not even Nietzsche, that stupid guy who said that violence is good, would say that it's good for the victims. No, he'd say that the victim's using more violence than the attacker is good.
Yeah, I didn't understand the way he turned his phrases.
Well, he's a moron anyway, so it's not.
Because that's a thing that I thought a lot about violence as the position of Mahatma Gandhi, the Indian peace guy. Like he was adamant on non-violence, and I could understand where he was going, but still.
Total pacifism is stupid. There are some groups, and I think possibly even the Mormons, that have a doctrine of non-aggression, where you do not initiate violence, but if someone else initiates the violence, well, then you turn around and
so it's like martial art.
Yeah, basically. But and that is how you respect each person's individual rights and freedoms when it comes to both property and violence. Do not start violence, but if some bastard starts it, you'd better frigging finish it.
Mm. And no,
this is also something you should be teaching your kids that go to school. Don't start fights, but always make sure you win.
And that's also what I wanted to say when you explain the situation when you are mugged or someone steal your car and stuff. Always defend yourself if possible. In the exception, my opinion, that if you are suspicious or you may think that the guy has a weapon or something like that. Like if
that's why you should have a better weapon, isn't it?
Yeah.
Obviously, if they get you, obviously you should do what is most prudent to win. And if they've got the drop on you, you don't see them coming up, and they fucking got you dead to rights.
Yeah, And I think many martial
Give up what you need to distract them.
and I
And
think
then go chase them, and I think the law needs to be changed to allow you to shoot fleeing muggers in the bloody back.
there are, I think, many martial artist teacher who say something like, yeah, the best way to defend yourself is to avoid the fight or flee the fight, because even if you are strong 5-on-1, you lose.
Yeah. And of course, it's all about assessing the risk. Also, remember when we talked earlier about great equalizers? 17 plus 1 does a fantastic job on 5 guys trying to rough you up.
It reminds me of a sketch of Bill Burr. You should get a shotgun. He has a good spread.
At least he's better than Jim fucking Jeffries, who's a stupid moron who doesn't understand anything because he's an Australian cuck.
I very much enjoy Bill Burr more.
Bill Burr is better than a lot of them, yes.
Yeah, so we had an intellectual question, so now for a personal one. So, people in the chat, this is story time with Bezek, who is explaining what he had in his life. What was the key moment that made you take interest in social stuff and politics? Because I personally think that we all had our own very special moment at one point in our life. Like, for example, Neo in the Matrix, when he discovered the true world that make him depressed in the spaceship and he puked. Like, oh my god, this is real. I'm actually understanding the situation I'm in. What was, if you can, explain what was this moment for you?
What was the moment that woke me up? I think it was gradual up until Gamergate, and that's when it became properly political. That's when it flipped from exploring. Before that, I was essentially just exploring the world, trying to figure out what the hell was going on, because I have no fucking idea. like I was in my I was in my early 20s when this shit started. And I hadn't figured out jack diddly fuck all. But then, all of a sudden, my hobby came under attack.
Which was?
I like gaming. Gaming, of course.
Okay.
Because it's a Gamergate.
Yeah, so video game.
Yeah, all of a sudden, these vile harpies are calling me evil. Because if I'm going to have to stare at an ass for the next 60 hours, I'd like it to be an attractive female one.
Well, you should have asked for mine.
Your ass is neither attractive nor female. I'll pass.
You don't know. You've not seen it.
I can take a damn good guess.
I remember one specific video of Sargon of Akkad that actually touched me, and I wasn't able to find it since, and it's a bit sad because I wanted to watch it again. It was a video he made with many people who were attacking him, saying that this is his Patreon, this is how much money he made, blah blah blah, and he introduced himself, saying, so this is what I do, this is what I'm interested in, this is the topic I cover, blah blah blah. This is at the time when he was still doing sorry, bit burp. He was still doing the Week in Stupid, if you remember it. Very nice video series he made. And he explained his stuff. And at one point in the video, he explained it's been so long that there is so many stupid shit said in the political sphere, the social sphere, and stuff like that, that I cannot sleep anymore. Like, if I'm not doing something, if I am not to do something against these idiots, I will lose myself, my life, my ethics, my sleep, everything. And it was quite touching, to be honest. And it's something I experienced myself. Well, not about the doing a political channel, of course, but when there is something you see in the world that it's so important that you have to do something about it. And I think that many of the political people, like you, like Sargon, like I'm sure many of the people who are watching us right now have had in the moment. Like, if I'm not doing something about this thing, I will not be able to look at myself in the mirror.
Pretty much. There are some things that you just cannot stand the encroachment of. And of course, that changes for different people.
So you are saying in the DM that you need a break. Do you want to go take a piss or drink something, or do you need to finish the recording? I'm allowing myself to speak about it publicly.
Ah. Yeah, I just need to grab my food delivery and stop in on the bathroom.
Okay, well, 10 minutes, is it okay for you?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, perfect. I will entertain the chat for 10 minutes and then we let's say something like 30 minutes until the end. I have like two question tops. If it's okay with you.
Yeah, that's fine. I just need to run away real quickly starting now. I'll be back.
Yeah. Go on. So, chat, I am alone right now, and I will try to entertain you for like the 10-15 minutes. So, be entertaining. Say stupid shit, say things. And if I'm correct, someone send the video. If it's that one, I think we will watch it.
This guy.
Yeah, this is the one, I think. Yeah, this is the one. Thank you very much, Sleeping Giant, because I tried to find it and I was never able to watch it. And I will get this video and just find the precise moment I think it was it. So let me mute myself for a second. Well, not mute myself, but mute the sound from my computer. Yeah, this part. Perfect. This is old school Sargon of Akkad. So there is like match. So yeah, for like 2 minutes, he show people like criticizing him, and I remember the monkey person. Yeah, this. Yeah, this one. I don't know why, but I remember specifically this one. And yeah, we will listen to it a bit. Yep.
One of the worst things that you could spend your money on.
Hello, and welcome to my channel. I go on the internet as Sargon of Akkad, and I chose this name because I'm a lover of history and the lessons it can teach us. I started my channel about a year ago because I was unable to silence my own conscience. Too much is being done in the name of legality instead of morality.
Yeah, this part, for example, when you say, I just cannot allow myself to be silent anymore, like, it just cannot. And yeah, it's 2014. Oh, man. And yeah, this is the part I was referencing when I was talking about the Neo moment. It's at the point where you cannot go on if you are not actually doing something. It's a wake up call. I hate to use the word wake up or being woke or stuff, but yeah, it's at one point you realize, yeah, this is happening. I cannot let it continue, or at least I cannot allow myself to be passive anymore.
There are too many is being done in the name of legality instead of morality. There are too many bad arguments being passed off as truth without being supported by evidence or backed up by reasonable arguments. And it got to the point where I was genuinely starting to lose sleep sometimes, because my silence was my consent. By simply doing or saying nothing, I was complicit in these activities.
Yeah, this part specifically, when you speak about losing sleep. This speaks volume to me. And I'm very, very happy and very glad. Thank you again, Sleeping Giant, for finding this particular video. Because, yeah, I've searched for it a long time. And just for the pleasure of listening it again. And, yeah, it's, well, at least it's what Sagan said at the time. But I think this is something we can all gather around. Like, this special moment we have, like, it's, I cannot allow myself to not do anything.
Simply doing or saying nothing, I was complicit in these activities. It got to the point that I felt that I had to have some kind of voice in the public dialogue, no matter how small and insignificant, just so I was able to rest easy at the end of the day, knowing I had done something. If I were to flatter myself, I would like to think that I'm following in the footsteps of the best classical orators, and I try to create rock-solid arguments backed up by reason, evidence, and logic. I am tired of partisan politics that make no attempt to compromise with the other side. I am absolutely sick of hearing one person's opinion and disregarding the others. To make
Yeah, this is also the part I quite enjoy. I remember when basically saying like people don't know how to talk to each other anymore. Like even like civilized conversation, not even debate. And it's yeah, it. I've seen it so many times. I'm sure you as well. The rest of the video is a bit more like he is explaining the process he have for his video, like the way he researched, the way he has his Patreon. I think he talk about that. Like I don't want giving privilege to people. Bezek? I heard
Sure.
us. Yeah,
Yes, I am back.
already.
Yes, fortunately, things went quicker than planned.
Okay. Yeah, I was just watching the video of Sargon of Akkad when he had the speech where he wasn't allowing himself to be passive anymore and stuff. And yeah.
Yes, I took my headset with me, so I was still listening.
Yeah, okay. But you could take a bit more time if you wanted to. I'm sorry if you imagine that it was a bit shorter. I envision very long stuff, so at least 3 hours long, because I knew you. So
I was expecting it to be slightly more along your usual time frame, but yes,
okay.
it is fun.
But it's quite wholesome to see also the chat saying yeah it was also something special for me or meaningful, like Sleeping Giant say about the Sargon of Akkad and Ash Warhammer and stuff like that. Yeah, was something.
Yeah. Alrighty, so
So yeah, you mentioned that your special moment for yourself was Gamergate and the way that you felt attacked because oh bad gamer blah 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 blah. And was there something at this point you did, or were you more like I'm going to research and learn stuff?
yeah, I was still in the research and learn phase. I started exploring associated content creators, and God, I can't even remember who I found. It was so long ago in a much saner world.
I remember that.
we
Yeah, go on.
I mean, this is way back when I actually found Eddie No's thread. Like, this is where we're talking about MythCon.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah,
is
as we said in the part when I showed the video, this particular video of Sargon of Akkad was in 8 December 2014. Quite a long time ago. Almost
and by
10 years.
2018, he was at MythCon with such people as I'm a Skeptic, the Stupid Ho with the shoe, other people like that back when they were relevant. lunatics like that.
Yeah. It's
And yeah, it's madness.
I remember that
yeah.
V started more or less at the same time also. Because I know V
Mm-hmm.
it was also a bit politically involved. Yeah, Bering.
Yes.
Thank you, Alden. Bering. The
Yeah,
old
Bering.
school.
I never really found my way to Bering, but by the time I did, the man was so busy with real life crap that he's a week behind the news cycle.
I think I never watched him. The path I had was Sargon of Akkad, then Arch Warhammer, then I went to Quartering and Condancula.
Mm-hmm.
Because for the Quartering, if you remember, guys, it was only focused on gaming stuff like Magic the Gathering and all. But when he was banned, he take a 180 and goes into full politic and news covering.
That's the thing. He used to be a Magic the Gathering weirdo.
Yeah, I myself too.
That's a long time ago.
Because I found him before he was banned. That was like month or 1 year after he was banned, and then I found Condacula who made a video supporting him, and yeah. So another question for you, my dear friend, and we are going to end soon after this one because this is not the last one, but yeah, this is the last heavy one, and it's a bit of a personal question of mine. Do you think culture is the current political battlefield? Because for someone like myself who is deep into
absolutely.
Okay, well, next question.
To elaborate on that.
Yeah, but just to finish the point I was willing to make.
Okay.
For myself, who is more into the entertainment thing and not into the political thing, it's my personal assessment. It's something like in the John Constantine universe, for the one who knows. And for the one who's not, I will explain. God and Satan are playing a game of influence and follower gathering. Like the more follower you have, you win. And it's in our world, it's like through entertainment and culture that this game is played.
Yeah. Because, so, with the certain political group that's causing these problems, they know that their ideas are so reprehensible that if confronted without prior indoctrination or inculcation, any sane, reasonable person would immediately reject them. And that's why they are getting into that's why they're getting into TV.
This one is for Bezek.
Woke. This one's got to have so many black people. Got to have the... Can't say that on this channel. We've got to have a Jusui Smollett, the from Empire, as Chappelle would call him. Gotta have a show all about a black gay dude. Oh, Doctor Who, you like that TV show? You're having fun adventures? Oh, well, we've got to insert a new companion. She's a black female lesbian. Her hobbies are black female lesbian. Her job is being a black female lesbian, and her name is black female lesbian. Oh, and then we've got to add a woman for reasons. And then we've got to have a new doctor that's a black gay guy, and of all the black gay guys we could have possibly found, we found the worst. Oh, and then his new companion is going to be a rehashing of an old companion, but this time it's going to be a new woman. Because that's how they've got to normalize this crap.
Do you like what I'm showing, Bezek? Because I have... Because, wait, it gets worse.
Oh, right.
Like it?
It always gets worse, doesn't it?
It's funny because, in a way, this color scheme It's very close to Slanesh.
I've actually lost your desktop stream, so yeah.
Oh, sorry. Wait. Wait. Sorry. Yep.
There we go. Yes, got to insert our insufferable politics into this board game. Oh, only men can be base marines because of certain biological reasons. No, never mind that. Women now. But that's not how the universe works. But my politics say so, and I get to dictate how it is, or otherwise I'm not going to play your game, says the person who's not going to play the game regardless of what they do anyway.
Yeah, this is where, for personally myself, I was like, hey, I feel under attack, like you said with video games. It was with Magic the Gathering, and more so with Warhammer, because for Magic the Gathering it was more like we are firing the artists with the incorrect opinion, and for Warhammer it was like actually the developer catering to the batshit insane.
And the maddest thing is, these people are not the people giving you money.
Yep.
Maybe go pay attention to the people giving you money instead, you lunatics. But no, they've got other sources of money now that fall, such as BlackRock and its associated forms of villainy. You get money for and bonuses for being compliant with ESG scores, and that's all to do. Oh my god. I can see what Chris is looking up, and it's not good.
I don't even know what these flags are. But I know I hate them. Oh, it's 6 Marxism. I wanted to show it, but later. Chat is like, what am I saying? I like you to suffer with me, chat.
So here you see the flags for pedophile, 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 pedophile.
I know that it's even the same miniature, like the second one from the left. It's the trans flag, but the other I don't know.
It's just all forms of degeneracy, because they've 20 years ago they would have been bloody goths and emos.
Trans identity thing and how to say that you know, the pronoun stuff. It was like correct for the Mechanicum because they are not human anymore and they are trying to change themselves and stuff. But for the Space Marine, no, it's not the same. They had a good opportunity to do their degenerate thing with the Mechanicum, but no, they want the Space Marine.
Yep. Because they must be the main character in any story they see. Because they are so devoid of meaning to their lives, they're going to latch onto anything to give themselves value. And unfortunately, because they have no bloody self-respect, they can't give themselves value. They keep chasing the high that they'll never get.
Oh, that's a nice one. I'm scrolling with you, so I don't know what I will be discovering. But yeah, let the Nazi burn and don't abandon the War Master. So, who is worse, the Imperium or the Chaos God?
Obviously, the Chaos Gods, particularly Slanesh.
Like, next.
I mean, if Slanesh was real, how would our lives be different?
Oh, man. Oh, yeah. You could also explain this, because I know it's a fact and all, but maybe you can give a bit more, like, information and take and opinion stuff. What can you say about the saying that the left can't meme? Can you explain that a bit?
it's because they lack the capacity for humor. They can't make jokes. Instead, they've got to sit there and give you walls of text to try and explain what they're doing because it doesn't make sense. Memes are short, witty images. A couple of words, image, maybe a few more images. Because memes rely on pre-existing knowledge in the head of the viewer. It relies on cultural norms. It relies on cultural memes and cultural references. But what they're promoting is not any of that. So they've got to sit there and explain it all to you so you get the bloody joke.
Yeah, because
And any joke you have to explain isn't funny.
for example, this one, well, it's not that bad, but it's still not good for any means. Like, oh yeah, it's a game workshop doing its basic usual thing. I'm not sure that you need to explain everything. Like, make a new chapter. We don't know what the successor are. Blah blah blah. Yeah, it's game workshop. Like, not very funny.
Yes, let me just include a paragraph. Yeah, no, bored now. Go away.
Man. So, can we find another good thing? Yeah, badly painted miniature. Yeah. What? FLGS, I don't know what it is. Is it a...
See if we can get a bigger view.
Yeah, sure, Trim. Berserk will never be woke. Never.
Yeah, I don't get that crap.
Oh, you disappear. Bezek? I have to redo the thing. I think.
It should hopefully fix itself because the evil bloody Discord crashed.
Oh, okay.
Because it's a...
I can hear you now.
Hello?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Good.
What is this? Okay. Well, I think we can conclude on this one because it's, as you said, it's like, oh, so many words. Why? So, from what I'm understanding, they are saying that all the classic Slanesh thing, like gender bending, debauchery, the depravity, and all, it's not actually Slanesh. Slanesh is Wall Street. Why?
So, unfunny, way too wordy, makes no sense. Yeah, sounds about right.
And they try to... It's just as you said, and we are stating, like, they try to appropriate and distort and change the lore and the background of the universe. Like, they have no interest in the setting itself. Because one interesting thing about Slanesh, for all of you who are watching, it's every single time Game Workshop do Slanesh, like, oh, sex, debauchery, pleasure, blah blah blah. Basically butt sex with no lube. But Slanesh is way more than that, and Game Workshop is very lazy, to be honest, because Slanesh is, let's say for example, someone is enjoying walking and feeding the duck, for example. Well, you can explain why the guy like to walk so much, why he likes to feed the duck, why he likes to go to the pond, and at one point, like, he go batshit insane crazy and he kill every single duck in the pond because, yeah, but if myself, I like to go to the pond and feed the duck, well, many other people can do, so it's not my pleasure, so I have to kill every single duck, so no one can go anymore. Like this is the path of debauchery and excess and going insane with something you like. This is the way of Slanesh. It's not about sex and having 5 titties.
Yeah.
And it's
But of course, because they're so sick and twisted, they see what normal people go, ooh, filthy degenerate sin, and go, that's just my normal weekend at the 50-man gay piss orgy.
yeah. That's basically it. Yeah, this the pleasure meter and the degeneracy meter is so out of control that there is no norm anymore. This is another thing they like to do. That normal is a bad word. This is just a roundabout statistic. That's all. It's nothing. It's there is a norm.
Yep.
I don't say 5 TTs. That's too many. Okay. Yeah. It's for you. Which is to finish the question because I would like to touch a bit about that. For you, which is the most important like symbol or bastion of the fight of culture? Because in my opinion, honestly, there are two that I'm interested in. One is the American comic book, like the superhero Marvel, DC, which is totally like cancer and corrupted. And the other side, there is manga, who is heavily gate kept by the Japanese. And to me, it's like the two sides of the same coin.
I'm not sure I'd phrase it that way, but maybe it's just a translation issue. But I see absolutely nothing wrong with gatekeeping your cultural
Oh yeah,
entertainment
that's what I'm
from
saying. Like this is
dirty, filthy, fucking degenerates who want to destroy it.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Maybe I didn't express myself nice enough, but there is the American side which is totally overtaken, like overrun, sorry, and the Japanese side who is protected and rightfully so. But this is the same fight to protect an art form, an art piece, which is books with picture and a story, blah blah blah. Did I broke the Bezek?
I don't know. It's just so frigging stupid. The whole thing. Sorry, what was the question again?
Sorry, maybe you didn't hear me, or I don't know. I was saying that the side of the American comics is completely overrun by the woke people, and on the other side, which is also a battlefield, the Japanese are keeping the media sane and clean. And for me, maybe
Yes.
this is the more symbolic and important battlefield of culture.
Well, it's obviously going to be comic books. The Japanese are very, very good at keeping Western bullshit out of their society. Unfortunately, we live in the Western society, so the comic books are what are influencing the people who grow up to fuck with us. It is Marvel with their stupid woke movies where they molest Thor that are influencing the public perception. It's frigging She-Hulk who just rapes dudes and gets away with it. Like, this is the absolute crap that is infiltrating the Western society.
I'm searching for an article showing the how much the manga is winning against the American comic book. Sale, yes.
Yeah. Well, it's not surprising. There's new stories for manga. In comics, it's the same crap. Oh, same superhero we've had for 50 years does the same shit he
Yeah,
did 20 years
so
ago.
this one is interesting. So it's not actually a statistic or number or something, but they explain, for example, that in which is yeah, well, that that is peak nerdgasm for me. But yeah, apparently in many convention and stuff, well, the manga is just winning blatantly.
Yeah. Oh, and again, it's not surprising. New stories, new characters, unique things, exploring different things, and not painfully, filthily woke. There's a lot less of the Japanese trying to cut your dick off down your throats.
Well, definitely. There is some. You can find some, definitely, but it's not the it's not the norm, let's just say. Because I don't know if you've seen, I think I've shared it in the Sultan Discord, but apparently the Joker is pregnant now.
Oh God.
Yeah, yeah, the man Joker, like the male.
No. Not no, just like 20 years ago, it might have been an interesting shtick, but now you just know it's there. Gender bending bullshit. It's just nasty.
And since I love you so much, hey, here we are. Oh fuck, fuck you. Uh, can I find an article, please? Oh yes, this one is perfect.
What
Because
a sweet fuck.
you can even see the Joker delivering the baby.
And this is why the comic book industry needs to burn to the ground.
Watch. Oh, this is beautiful.
It really is not.
I'm at that point where the crazier it is, the funnier it is for me. Ah, we need to go to Japan to have good entertainment and keep our beloved hero safe. And on that note, I will ask the last question, which is a funny one, and we can end the stream after that one. Imagine you meet a genie, like the genie in the lamp, Aladdin stuff, and he grants you one wish, no matter what, like bending time and space, reviving people from
Destroy the Earth. Destroy the Earth.
Okay. Can you elaborate a bit?
No. No, genies are foxy. Genies are tricky creatures.
Yeah, but this
They
one
will
is not. Trust me.
always-
This one is not.
Oh, the genie will absolutely give me what I want. Okay.
Yes.
Ooh. Yeah, I'll just phrase a whole bunch of things as run-on sentence. How about child molest? If someone thinks about molesting a child, they immediately burst into flames. How does that work?
So you value highly children's life.
Far more than I value. It's more like I don't value the life of pedophiles at all.
Yeah. Also, yes. But yeah, it's an interesting wish, because I had it's the question I ask every single people I have on my interview, and I have very very different answer from very very different people. I keep thinking about.
Well, the alternative is some long drawn out waffling sentence about how we somehow make woke politics disappear. I mean, yeah, there we go. Woke politics can disappear. That's the better one.
Yeah. It's aligned with your personality. Let's just say. Mine would be very basic. Just give me a bunch of money, but yeah, it's a bit more egotistical.
Yeah.
Well, this is the end for me. So if by any chance you have some like quick question to Bezek, this is the time, because after that we will end the stream because I think both of us is a bit tired. Live stream with Bezek is intense. That's what she said. But yeah, I prepared like yeah, more or less 2.5, 3 hour with you, because I knew that you would waffle a lot. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed and that my question were at least a bit interesting, and that you enjoyed yourself basically.
I did have a good time. Thank you very much for inviting me on and letting me talk about what's been going on in the realm of the Sultans.
My pleasure. I hope I shielded you nice and fat, nice and thick. I don't master the art of shilling just as you do, but I try. There is one question. If you had a lightsaber, which color do you want?
Ooh. If only they hadn't made red lightsabers gay. I want a pre-2020 red lightsaber, because fuck you and your feelings. You know, before they ruined it by giving it to that weirdo.
You speak about Rey?
No, I was speaking about the other weirdo. You know, the one that Rey wants to fuck.
Ah, Adam. Yeah, Adam Driver, Kylo Ren.
Yeah, that's the one.
Another quick question. Elon Musk, money or telepathy? Telepathy.
Why the fuck would I want to... I already know what you sick degenerates think. I don't need bloody telepathy. Of course I want the bloody money.
Alden say, check out my Chris. So many shills. Oh, thank you, Alden. You are my little employee. Oh, Keto Ben, yeah, the Keto Kylo Ren were based like big and large. Was a weird movie. So one last question, and then afterwards I will free the Bezek into the wilderness of Australia. Because I'm sure you have some stuff to do, and yeah, it's oh yeah, you stayed English, sorry, you stayed up awake because it's just the morning for you now, isn't it?
Yes, it is after 9 in the morning now.
Oh God, yeah, I'm sorry about that. That's why you wanted to go to bed. Because the Bezek almost forgot about the live stream.
Yeah, time zones are fun.
Yeah, so last question from Calum is V8 or V12? I know you like your car.
V8 turbocharged diesel, of course. Because I like going off-road.
Yeah, you explain yourself quite in detail about that with the... I'll say that. The amount of hate you have towards electric cars.
Don't get me started on friggin' electric cars.
And so, people, with that, I will end the stream. I thank you very, very much because this is one of the most populated stream I had. And I'm not used to that, but yeah, it was very pleasant. But yeah, it's no surprise because I have the angry Australian with me. And it tend to, I would say that, attract the crowd. And I hope
but they all just want to be here to see your channel get deleted.
Yeah, I think so. Fortunately, it didn't happen. But yeah, it was a very nice moment, and thank you all, and thank you Bezek for going on my channel, and thank you for keeping yourself civilized for Susan. So
Yes.
have a nice one, people, and goodbye. Thank you for coming, and see you later on my channel, and the Sultans, of course, but all of you know the way. Have a nice one, people. Bye bye.